Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
And welcome into a Thursday edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Mikey McNuggets joined by Tyvis Powell and Jason Lloyd out on the set. We got director Steve, Anthony, and Earl the Pearl behind the glass today. We got a big show coming up for you guys, and we'll dive into some topics in a second. But first and foremost, we had Jason coming in hot last minute. We had Tyvis and Steve going back and forth at each other a little bit beforehand. It's been a morning here in the UCSS.
Little road rage.
What I miss?
Well, I was, I'm coming in, coming from my nice little 2-hour drive, and I get to the thing there, you got to beep in now. And this car pulls up on me and blows and holds the horn on me. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, who is this? So I couldn't really see. So when I'm turning to the garage, I see it's this guy. So I'm like, okay. I said, if I ever catch you out, just know it's on. So yeah, me and Steve started off early today. I don't know what his deal is.
And then you came in hot late, Jason.
I was not paying attention and drove by the studio. I wound up at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I got to East 9th and I'm like, what am I? Because I was on the phone and I get drama.
100 different things at once.
100 different things. And I'm looking, I'm at East 9th Street, I'm at the Rock Hall. I'm like, you idiot. ADD is real. Let me tell you. It's like I had to wait on the light, turn around, wait on the light. So yeah, I got here about 4 minutes ago.
You said it right. I just realized, I just pictured it all. Yeah, you went way past. You went over the bridge and everything.
I overshot the landing.
Did you come down? Yeah.
So I get off at Superior and come
across.
And I just sort of jog over. But today I jogged too far for once in my life. And made it all the way to East 9th and had to turn around and come back.
Well, at least you had your eyes open.
At least
I guess not. I
guess get to like Lakewood.
The last time I seen you was your eyes was just now today it just tells me you haven't learned your lesson. You driving with your eyes closed.
I might have been to Lakewood 11:15 and figured out, hey, where are you going? You got to turn around and go back.
Isn't it crazy, without getting into too much detail of what was distracting Jason this morning? Isn't it crazy that the people who aren't actually involved in certain situations dictate so much of the outcome of a certain thing that's happening without giving too much details?
Yeah,
but
it's not worth getting into.
Yeah.
But yeah, 1 million %. 1 million %.
And it's everything, not just your particular situation, but like when you're building an NBA team.
Yeah.
Sometimes not the players that dictate, it's the agents that are saying stuff, and it's outside influences. And if the football team, Tyvis, it's the same thing. Like, you in your NIL world.
Yes,
if you leave it to just the people involved, they feel one way about it, but you get outside voices that come in, and it just messes everything
that's why
up.
it's so hard to get everybody on the same page, especially in sports, because you get so many outside influences that it start to muddy up what you think, and that's when you get two sides that can't agree on certain things. The business aspect and the outside stuff is a different world.
Well, I talked about that. This is not what was bothering me this morning, but you can take it back to the Cavs. And we were talking at the end of the season, I had talked to people who felt like they were going to run this back, like they weren't going to make any changes.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like that's still going to be the case as we sit here in middle of July. But then you get the Darius and the Donovan thing, and then you get the Jarrett thing, and it's just it's so fragile. Roster building, especially in the NBA, but in all pro sports, it's so fragile that you think you have it right. You think you right there, and then one thing happens, and this side of the building falls down, and now you got to pick that side back up. It's fascinating, man, and it's parents, it's agents, it's marketing, it's PR, it's all of that. Everybody has a voice. Everybody thinks you should be over here. That's not good for you. That's a better situation.
I tell you, the thing about a situation is you never know how good you got it until it's gone. I remember I remember at a point in time in my career, I was on San Francisco's practice squad. I can't remember what year this was. This must have been early. And I was sitting there and I was frustrated because I'm like, I feel like I should be good enough to be playing in games, even special teams. Like at some point, like I shouldn't be just on practice squad. And I remember reaching out to my agent, like, there's nothing you could do to like get me on somebody's 53. And I remember him telling me, he was like, you know what, you need to make sure that you love the situation that you're in because there's other opportunities or other situations that you could put yourself in where you don't have a job, period. And when he said that, I was like, he got a good point. I really wasn't trying to hear that at that moment. Like I was hoping he'd come with something better. But then when you like unemployed and you don't have a job, it's like, man, I'd do anything to be back on that practice squad. So it is about just appreciating the moment and appreciating where you at. And especially if you, that's why I say the locker room is such an important factor. If you got guys on there that you rock with or that you're friends with or that you love to be around, you can overcome a lot of the bad things that's happening maybe on the field or on the court. But when you hate the situation that you're in and you hate the people in the locker room, then that's a totally different story. So for me in San Francisco, I had such a great relationship with coaches, with players, that I was able to put that behind me a little bit. Like, all right, I'm going to keep working, but I'm cool with the situation right now because I like being around these guys. I can't wait to get up at 7 o'clock to go work out and go see the coaches or go joke with Sherm or go do all these things. Like, that's where my mind was, and I guess that's why I was okay with being on practice squad for that time.
And welcome back. Do you feel more recovered than you did yesterday? In your DNP day? No.
What is this hand thing? What did you do to yourself? Because I messed my hand up last night I was trying to fix my grill, and the back of the grill came down on my hand, and it like cut me to the white meat. So
is that the story you're telling on air?
That's what happened.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay. No, I have no idea. I've been dealing with like a sprained wrist and tendonitis in my right arm for like about a month now. So I got a doctor's appointment next month. Check me out, and we'll see. Hopefully it'll help something.
Did you have any like wrist injuries when you played soccer?
I had a sprained wrist, sprained thumb. I got kicked in the shoulder a few times. I was a goalkeeper.
But nothing serious, because like I broke my wrist in college.
No, I've never broken a bone.
I broke my wrist twice, and they told me that I was gonna have arthritis in my wrist, but it's been in my like elbow lately.
No, I had X-rays like 3-4 weeks ago. No arthritis, no carpal tunnel, no nothing.
Must be nice.
So I don't know what's going on.
30 years old, Jason. Arthritis.
Falling apart.
Body's falling apart.
Falling apart. Wait till you hit 40 and then 45.
Well, the thing is, I thought that if I continued to lift and run, like, it wouldn't catch up.
It don't matter.
It does, because you gotta. They say when you retire, like you stop doing stuff. Yeah. Like you deal with pain and injuries and stuff when you playing, but you could get through it because the body's constantly moving. They say when you retire or done playing and you just sitting around, that's when the stuff really kick in. So I thought if I continued to move and continue to do stuff, it'll
prolong it.
Yeah, I mean,
no, it's here with a vengeance, boy.
Then
I sometimes can't even straighten my arm out. It's bad.
I turned 48 this weekend. 48
this weekend?
Yeah.
Happy early birthday.
Yeah, happy early birthday.
There's nothing happy about turning 48. Let me tell you.
48 people look die to see 48.
My knees hurt, my back hurts,
my
hips hurt.
I am 21 years younger. I turn 27 next month.
Holy crap.
And it's a little, the gap between you two is almost legally of drinking age, so congratulations on that. We got a big show coming up. We got Kyle Snyder coming on in about 2 minutes, who is arguably the greatest American wrestler that ever lived. He's the greatest Ohio State wrestler. That's why we're kind of just shooting the crap until Kyle's ready to join us. We're going to talk some Guardians second half previews. Can the Browns win a Super Bowl in the next 5 seasons if you can only extend one of either JOK or Amari Cooper? Who you taking? We got a little Cavs Summer League recap and one thing that each Cavalier needs to add to their game for the upcoming season. We'll get to all that in a sec. We're just waiting on Kyle to log in here so we can start our show with his quest for a second gold medal in the Paris Olympics.
I'm excited for the Olympics.
I was going to ask you guys while we're waiting.
Breakdancing.
If you could do any Olympic sport,
oh no, I ain't breakdancing. I thought you was gonna say, "What am I excited for?"
No, but if you could participate in any non-traditional, like
back when I was banging, like healthy Davies, 200-meter dash.
Healthy Davies. Get out of here. You're 30 years old.
The bodies, I just told you.
Yeah,
the
I
bodies
know
break.
what you
I
do.
done put on 30
What would you do?
pounds. This
We
is
got
terrible.
Kyle, so let's make this quick.
Swim, something swimming, because I almost drowned on a boat in Mexico. I could swim.
But you almost
Not
drowned
bad.
on the boat.
That was rough.
And let's get a read here,
rough.
and we'll bring
That was a
in
rough day.
Kyle in 1 sec.
So, guys, as you all know, I love sports. I'm wearing the jersey today. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down and we get fewer games and the sports aren't sporting like I want them to, FanDuel lets me keep the sports going wherever I want and whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost and bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. So head on over to FanDuel.com/UCSS to start making the most of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.
And with that, let's welcome in Kyle Snyder as he attempts to win his second career gold medal in the upcoming Olympics. Kyle, how you doing today? Appreciate you taking some time to join us.
I'm doing great. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Doing good.
Awesome. Well, Kyle, I'm just curious, how's the preparation going as you get prepared to take on your third Olympics and hopefully your second gold medal upcoming? How's the training and preparation going for that conquest?
Everything's going great. I mean, training has been going really well. We got a good plan. And, I train at the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club in Penn State. So we have 4 of the 6, men's freestyle members on the team. So it's got great energy in the room, and everybody's doing well.
Kyle, how much different do the stakes feel when you have that Team USA emblem across your chest as opposed to whether it was Ohio State or high school? When you're wrestling for your country, how much different do the stakes feel in those type of situations?
For me, every match is important, whether I'm wrestling for Ohio State, whether I'm wrestling for Team USA, whether I'm wrestling for the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. It's like every match to me is really important, and I want to wrestle my best, and I want to honor God, and because of everything He's given me. So, I think that is what helps me compete the way that I do in all these tournaments, is just because every match is important.
Kyle, I want to take you back to a match that you had back in college. You went up against a guy, I think his name was Nick. I think he went to NC State. He was on an 88 match streak of wins until he faced you. Were you nervous going into there when you went before that match? Did you know that for a fact that you was going to snap this record?
Yeah, Nick Wisdowski, he's a great wrestler, and I'm always nervous before I compete. It's just because I care about it and I want to wrestle well. But, I also always believe I'm going to win, and I expect myself to win every time I compete. And I had trained with Nick before, and I felt good about the way that training went. I knew it was going to be a tough match, but I had a good game plan, and it turned out well. It was a fun match, so it's good to wrestle people like that.
Kyle, how long can you do this, and what brought you back to do this again? Will this be your last Olympics, or will you be back 4 years from now again?
I mean, Lord willing, I'd like to wrestle for another 4 Olympic Games. I'd like to wrestle 7 total.
Wow.
That's my plan, and I'll be
Sheesh.
I'll be 44 years old when I finish that up. But my plan is really determined by what God wants me to do. I'm always saying I'll compete as long as He wants me to be a competitor, and that's what drives me. That's what motivates me, is my faith, and so that's what's most important to me. And I know that He's made me to be a wrestler now, and He's given me the skill and the energy and the support system and the right coaches and the body to do it. So that's what motivates me.
Now, I'm trying to run through the Rolodex, and I'll admit I'm not an expert on Olympic wrestling. Do a lot of guys wrestle into their 40s like that? Because I'm thinking like the greatest Olympians of all time get what, maybe 3 or 4 at the most Olympic?
Yeah, and especially in wrestling, part of the problem is there's just not a lot of money. People have to go into coaching, people have to get jobs because, it's just not you can't make a career out of it. But now wrestling's kind of gotten to a point where it is possible to compete that long if you're winning. So you better keep winning.
Yeah.
I better keep winning if I want to do that.
Would you be the most, if you make it to 7, would that be the most in wrestling?
Yeah, definitely.
What's the
Yeah.
record for the most Olympic appearances by a wrestler?
I think there's a girl in Azerbaijan this summer that is looking to medal at her 5th Olympics. I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever wrestled in 6.
Wow.
So,
Well, you mentioned winning, Kyle, and if you look at your resume, 179-0 in high school, which is just absurd by itself. 179-0, incredible. 75-5 at Ohio State with 3 national championships. You were the youngest wrestling gold medal winner in 2016. What would a second gold medal mean to you to add to that illustrious list of accomplishments?
I mean, it's hard for me to think about. It's I just feel like I'm getting prepared for, another event, and I don't really think about, what winning more medals is going to mean and stuff like that. I mean, I'm just focused on competing the way that God wants me to, and executing the game plan. And at the end of my career, I think I'll look back and be able to actually answer that question in a better way. But at this point, I'm just focused on executing the job.
Kyle, last year I had the honor of going up against some of the Ohio State wrestling guys for this Davies tries things. It didn't go well. So I need you to, the next time I do, because I went up against Sammy and we had a nice little back and forth, but he's really good. If I decide to go up against these wrestlers again at OSU, can you give me some tips, some beginner tips of what I need to do to win? Because I have to beat them at some point.
Run. Go ahead. You still there? We got you.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's all about your stance. The fundamentals in wrestling, it's what it's all about. So keep your knees bent, forward pressure. I think that's where we would start. And if you got a good stance and you're working on those fundamentals, then you can wrestle with most guys until you get tired. I mean, they're going to get you tired, and then that's going to be tough. But before then, you'll be all right.
Are you in Paris? Are you there now?
We leave on Monday.
Monday, okay. And then when does the competition begin for wrestling?
I don't wrestle until August 10th and 11th.
Oh, wow. So you got some time.
Yeah, you got some time.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that far.
Yeah, so we'll be in Paris for 4 days. The opening ceremonies are July 26th, and then we leave and we go to Normandy, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
That's where our training camp's going to be. And there's, I've been, learning about all that happened there. And I'm really just excited to go. I feel like it's going to be really inspiring. And I think it's going to help me in regards to competing, just seeing what, we did there and what those soldiers did. So I'm really excited about that.
What does your training look like between now and then? Because obviously you're trying to peak at the right time, but you can't lay around and do nothing between now and then. So what does a training day look like for you when you're this close to the Olympics?
I mean, it's just things are starting to taper down. We got 3.5 weeks until I wrestle. So just in the morning, usually strength training, doing some footwork, some conditioning, and then in the afternoon, practicing a lot of recovery, massage, hot tub, cold plunge, sauna, making sure my weight is under control. Practices are getting shorter, and just really focusing on what I need to do when I go out there and compete.
Kyle, my dad was a wrestler growing up, and he always taught me, if you see someone with cauliflower ear out at the bar, he's the person you don't mess with under any circumstances. And with your track record of being an Olympic medalist, an NCAA champion, a high school champion, I think that puts you in the category of like the top 0.00001% toughest, baddest dudes on the planet. Is there ever a situation where you go into a match or an environment where you're like, I think one of these guys could actually take me? Like, there's no way that thought ever crosses your mind, right?
No. No. Yeah. I mean, I always think I'm going to win. And I always think I'm the toughest guy and the strongest guy out there. So, I mean, it's just the way I think.
And along those lines, my dad always said wrestlers were and he mean this in a good way, just a little crazy because it's such a tough, physical, and enduring sport. What makes, from a mental standpoint, a great top-tier elite wrestler separated from just the really good ones?
Man, that's a great question. I think it's a mixture of there's a lot of great wrestlers that are built in so many different ways, and some of them aren't that tough. They're just really good at technique, and they still win. So I think that there's a lot of different ways to win in the sport. I couldn't say that there's just one thing. I think a lot of it has to do with just, God-given ability and talent to be able to compete. These coaches around the world are great, and they know how to teach and train up kids into becoming, really good wrestlers. So obviously being tough, being strong, good conditioning, and willingness to fight, loving to fight, that's all really important.
Kyle, before I let you go, obviously you remember the 2024 class, Hall of Fame class at Ohio State. What's that mean to you, and just what's some of your best memories of your time at Ohio State?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge honor, and the class is pretty cool. You got Gene Smith, Braxton Miller, Greg Oden. So I used to walk to the RPAC at Ohio State, and Greg Oden would be playing basketball, pickup games in there with people. So, that's pretty cool. And, I just loved competing and loved training and that whole thing. I was at Ohio State. We won a team title in 2015. That was exciting, and I had great teammates and coaches. So, it was really just a blessed time while I was there.
Awesome. Well, Kyle, we appreciate you taking some time to join us this morning. Best of luck in Paris. We are rooting for you to come home with
we'll be watching,
a second gold medal. We can't wait to watch a little wrestling in the Olympics. So best of luck, and bring home a gold for Team USA.
Thank you guys so much. God bless you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Kyle. That was Kyle Snyder going en route to Paris to hopefully come back with his second gold medal, which would put him in elite company in terms of the wrestling pantheon. Already the best Ohio State wrestler of all time, hoping to cement his name as the best Team USA wrestler of all time. And what's our next read?
Yeah, guys, when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help everybody find the right professionals for your team faster and free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new role who might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get qualified candidates within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. All you have to do is post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply.
Guys, our hiatus ends tonight. The hiatus of no real professional sports games across anything. And Jason, before we hop in, were you about to say something?
Nothing important.
No, that's a perfect time to say it then. Let's say it.
Well, you always want to stay on topic, so I don't want to stray because it was really stupid.
Don't mess up my FanDuel reads. Everything else.
Yeah, FanDuel reads the one we can't skip.
Oh, all right. Well, did I ever tell you guys the story about how I almost died snorkeling in Mexico?
No, but now we have to.
Well, I was going to save it for overtime. Do you want? I was going to save it for overtime.
We'll save it for overtime.
Okay.
That's fine.
Because it's funny, but because you were talking about the Olympics and what sport, I actually really am looking forward to these Olympics because like my kids are of the age where they're both swimmers. Both of my kids, my younger ones, swim. Mm-hmm. We're at swim meets. I mean, you guys know we're at swim meets 3 nights a week. Yeah. We were at another one. We were at championships last night. Congratulations, Larry Country Club winning the club championship. So they were swimming till midnight last night in the pool. They went back and had a big party. They do it every year. It's great. So like I'm excited to watch the swimming events with my kids. My daughter loves gymnastics. She's huge into gymnastics. I'm excited to watch that because like it's cool. You know this when you get the kids that certain age. Although yours are probably still a little bit younger, right?
Yeah, mine's is 4 and 2.
Yeah, they're too young. But when they get like 12 and 14 and like that's the sweet spot for us. This is the first. 2020 doesn't count for anything ever. Like just scrub it from history. But
I can't. I got some important things happening that year for me, so I can't do that.
But I'm just excited to see these Olympics and watch it with my kids. It's just kind of cool. My son's all excited for Team USA basketball.
Yeah.
Wants to watch that.
Steph and LeBron together.
Steph and LeBron together.
Yeah.
I just
Is it the first time?
Yeah, first time they've ever been on the same team.
Oh man.
Because LeBron's taking the last couple Olympics off. It's incredible.
Oh, yeah,
he's coming back
yeah.
at this age
Yeah.
to do this. I've never been like, when I was a kid, I loved the Olympics. I loved the Olympics when I was a kid. And then like for,
You go through waves. I feel like it depends on the athletes. Like when Usain Bolt was racing,
yeah.
and granted, I was at the perfect age.
I
as you
watched
mentioned.
that.
Yeah.
Like that was must see. I didn't care what was going on.
Right.
I was watching the 100
Right.
meter dash with Usain Bolt. Could he defend his title? Could he break his record? Since then, I feel like certain sports have had their peaks and valleys in terms of brand recognizable names, and with social media, there's more and more. Kyle's a perfect example of.
Yeah.
I want to see wrestling now. Like I'm gonna watch Olympic wrestling. I don't think I've ever watched.
I
it
do
before.
want to see this breakdance because that's
Yeah.
new. I just want to see what it looks like.
Have you guys known an Olympian personally?
Have I ever
By
known
chance?
somebody that went to the Olympics?
Like known?
Yeah,
known?
yeah.
I don't. Oh, yeah, I guess. Tiana Madison. I covered, not that I knew her well, I covered her in high school.
I grew up. A buddy of mine was in the Rio Olympics for trampoline, which if you didn't know trampoline was an Olympic sport,
I did
know
not.
that
you wouldn't know
until
unless
8
you grew up with a
seconds
kid who
ago.
competed, and he literally fell off the trampoline on his second jump, came in dead last.
Oh, man.
We stayed up till 4 a.m. to watch Jeff Gluckstein. I love Jeff. Still talk to him all the time.
Oh,
Doing
man.
great. He landed on the fell off the trampoline, landed on the out of bounds marker. Like 3 seconds into the routine he'd been practicing his entire life for.
That's devastating.
Gets DQ'd.
That's
and
devastating.
I'm not saying he's never been the same, but like this was 8 years ago, and it still haunts him to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, his whole, especially like you worked for 4 years for that one moment, or like you said,
And he
his
beat out
entire
his
life.
brother for the U.S. spot.
Oh, and then it all is gone in 3 seconds.
This
3
is like
seconds, yeah.
this is
One
like Eminem Lose Yourself. You get one moment, one
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're talking about athletes, I'll really date myself and show you how old I am. I'll go back to 1980.
Carl Lewis.
Yes. Carl Lewis, the women's 4x100 team of Jackie Joyner-Kersee and FloJo, Florence Griffith Joyner.
Oh.
That was appointment viewing for me.
Wow.
I think it was 88. The 88, and Greg Louganis is a diver. Like that was the time when Olympic stars were stars.
But I just felt it's something about track, like the tracking.
It's 'cause you could do it yourself.
I will never not see that. Like I will have to watch that every year because it's. I don't care who's in it. I just think it's the coolest
I
thing.
always said if you want to make the Olympics even better, and I heard this somewhere, and I don't know where I heard it from, but it's the best idea ever. You should put a regular person in every Olympic event. Just a regular person.
just to show how
Just to
elite
show how
everybody else is.
absurd these people. Because when everyone,
Get
everyone runs the
rolled.
100-meter dash, and Usain Bolt wins by half a second.
You know,
To the untrained eye, half a second isn't a big gap. But if you put me out there, who's even a decent athlete but nowhere near
you
Olympic,
wouldn't. They'd be.
I'd be out of the screen.
They'd be at the finish line.
Yeah.
High five.
That's what I'm saying.
Bolt would be dressed.
That- no,
and
that's-
he'd
that's-
still be just now
That's what
about
I'm
to
saying,
cross
but
the
to
tape.
show how actually elite these people are.
Yeah.
Like, you imagine a regular person swimming against, like, Michael Phelps and
Yeah.
those guys. Because Michael Phelps wins by a decent margin,
Yeah.
but it doesn't look like, oh, well, they're all close enough. Like, is he that much better? A regular person doesn't even get through half a lap in the pool before these guys do 4. So I always thought that'd be a nice little wrinkle to the Olympics from a visual standpoint
I just remember
to showcase how elite these people actually
I
are.
remember when I was running track in high school, and I'm running like 10 something, and I'm like 10, and they like, oh yeah, if you go in the States, you got to run like 10.2, 10.3, stuff like that, 10.1. I'm like, that's high school fast. Like that's just, then you get to the Olympics, they running 9 something. I'm like, there's no way that they doing 100 meters in 9 seconds. You know how fast that is?
Devon Achane, the running back for the Dolphins,
Yeah.
track at A&M.
What do you run? 10.1, 10 flat.
10-1 was an All-American speed.
Yeah.
As a freshman
They
at A&M.
running 9.8.
He tried to qualify for the Olympics,
Remember,
and he just missed it.
remember
Tyreek tried to,
DK
too.
did it.
DK
DK
tried,
Metcalf tried it.
Yeah. It's just different levels of speed. So that's our Olympic preview. We'll talk, obviously, more Olympics because it is on WKYC, which is our parent company upstairs. So we'll talk plenty of Olympics as we get up to it. And if you need to hire, as Ant told you guys earlier, make sure you're doing it with LinkedIn, promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Back to the Guardians, guys. They are back in action tomorrow night after their All-Star break. And we'll digest and preview the games coming up this weekend on Monday. We'll preview it tomorrow. We have Rain Randazzo, who's calling the game for Apple TV, coming on the show tomorrow. But let's start with some bold predictions for the second half of the season, guys. Tyvis, you look so far like you, no pun intended, hit a home run on your preseason bold prediction.
What's wrong with you?
So what is your second half of the season bold prediction? Can you go 2 for 2?
I want you to know, Jason, when I put the rundown together last night, I was like, we have to do this topic with you two on here.
Yeah, I'm sure. I
Why
saw the
you-
rundown. It was through my phone. I was
Why
like,
do you feel that way?
give Tyvus, speaking of running, give him
All
another
right.
victory lap.
So-
Stretch out those hamstrings. Take your victory lap.
So this is what I'll do, okay? Because I want to be more bolder this time. So instead of a team goal, I figured I'd just pick one guy because you and Bull did that, and
Yeah.
you were just so. Well, yours is still.
I'm clinging to
yeah,
life.
you might.
Bulls is dead.
Bulls is out of there.
Bulls has been launched.
So
to
I'm
Uranus.
gonna say John
What's
Kinsey.
been launched in Uranus?
Bulls take.
It's been launched in Uranus?
No, to his.
Oh.
I'm gonna say
Crap back out. That's how bad it's been.
I'm gonna go with this is absurd now. If I'm going absurd, John Kinsey will be have the third most home runs on the team.
All right.
He has 4 right now.
Behind Naylor and Jose.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where's everybody else from? You just whipped this out without even looking at the
I
numbers.
did.
I think
I'm pretty sure who's after them. Let me see.
Stephen Kwan with 9.
Oh yeah.
Then Fry has 8. Brennan has 8. Freeman has 7. Bo Naylor has 6.
I mean,
Jimenez has 5.
That's
I don't know how bold.
yeah.
Oh, it's not like
doesn't seem that
he
bold.
doesn't play every day.
And he's played like 20
What's
games.
he got?
and
4 or 5?
He's got 4. He's 5 behind, and he's played.
He's right behind Schneeman already.
I think,
Actually, he's tied with Schneeman.
okay, he'll finish with 20.
That's bold.
That's bold.
There.
That's bold. There you
20.
go.
20 home runs. That's bold. Really bold. 16 away.
What do you think of that bold prediction, Jason?
If he gets this one right, I can never come back. I can never come back. I hope you do. I hope you are right.
20.
because
Yeah.
That's
if-
huge for the Guardians.
know.
If he gets 20, your top 15
Oh,
is a lock.
yeah,
That is officially
yeah.
locked in. It's actually crazy now. I just thought of it. They have 2 guys who hit home runs, really.
Yeah.
And they're still top. They have no one else with 10. I bet you they're one of a few teams in baseball that don't have at least 3 guys with double-digit home runs.
See, I thought I don't know why, but I thought somebody would have like 12. Stephen Kwan is third with 9 right now.
Yeah. And he missed a month. I mean, he would have 12 if he didn't miss a month.
He might get 16, 17 home runs this season.
To your point about like how are they doing this, and I did start to dig a little bit deeper, and then Zach Meisel gave me a couple more stats to look up, and I haven't looked those up yet. But
Good job, Jay.
but this is interesting. So we talked about this before. Launch angle and exit velo. Just run the math, and it should tell you about how far balls are going to travel. Well, if you look at the Guardians, and then barrel percentage is another good one for baseball because that's just how often are you barreling the ball.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's important. If you look at their barrel percentage, this is from just before the break, so probably missed in the last couple of games, but pretty close. Their barrel percentage is pretty close to what it was last year. 6.3% this year, 5.1% last year. They were worst in baseball last year. They're second worst this year, so not much difference.
I would not have
in
guessed.
barrel
Not have
percentage.
guessed that.
Would not have guessed that either. Exit velo, they're 5th worst. It's right around the same as last year. It was 87.5 last year, 88.1 this year.
I saw something on Twitter that said like they have a bunch of home runs that have barely cleared the fence.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what you're getting to.
Well, here's what I'm getting to. So exit velo, they're about the same as last year. Barrel percentage is up, but not much. Launch angle is a little bit higher. They were 25th last year. They're 18th this year. There was like 11% last year, 13% this year. So a little bit of an increase, but not much. Here's the biggest difference. Pull percentage. They went from second lowest last year to second highest this year. So they were around 36% last year. They're up around 41% this year. And the Rays do this too, where the Rays have turned regular like nobodies like Isaac Paredes into home run hitters by just saying, just pull everything. Just pull it. Just pull everything because you're going to try more power.
Yeah.
Just pull. And it feels to me like and Zach told me to look up like sweet spot percentage, and I haven't done that. But just the fact that they're so much higher in pull percentage just tells me that just pull everything. So that may be to lead to why you are correct, and you're going to be correct in your bold preseason prediction.
And with the lefty-heavy lineup they have,
Yeah.
and the wind tunnel potentially being opened up by removing the cargo containers, like
They should've
all the
did that
pieces
years
kind of
ago.
aligned to make that theory
Just pull
and
it.
those numbers.
Yeah. Now that's home and
Work.
away. I didn't do any splits.
No,
or
but I'm
anything.
just saying more. They
Yeah.
played half their games at home.
Could you imagine if John Kinsey gets to 19 home runs?
You'll be wrong if he gets to 19.
No.
'Cause you
No,
just said
see, that's
20.
my point. If he gets to 19 home runs and he got a chance for 20, I will never beg and plead for something so much. Because if he gets 20, don't even say my name, Jason. Don't even look my way.
If he gets to 19, I will round up and give it to you.
My name will be Tyvis, the baseball expert pal.
Oh, my
That's where I'm
Lord.
going with this.
I got it. We're going to have to listen to this all the way until
Please,
next April.
let this man get 20 home runs.
He did say Stephen Kwan was going to hit 400, and he has plummeted to 350.
Yeah,
so,
man. Ever since I said it's
Just
Jay's,
stick to power.
Jay's
Stick to
fault,
power.
man. Jay messed that up for me.
Stick to
Because
power.
he threw that shaved head thing in there. That's why.
Jason, what's your bold prediction for the second half?
My
of the
bold prediction for the second half is the same one from the preseason. Tanner Bybee, please catch just one Cy Young vote for me. Just one. It's still bold because right now he's not in the conversation. But I've died bloody
really
deaths.
clinging on this.
I've died on hills before about Mike Miller and Danny Green, and by God, I'm climbing Tanner Bybee Mountain right now as we speak. Please, just give me one Cy Young vote.
You got to turn it up for this second half.
Bybee's been up and down. There have been
Yeah.
stretches, like 2-3 week stretches, where Bybee looks every bit of a Cy Young.
Yeah, yeah.
And then after 3-4 starts where he looks great, he takes one or two back, and then he kind of takes himself out of the race.
Because he's a second-year pitcher, and we're putting so much on him.
But to your, I guess, defense or your points defense, the American League Cy Young is still wide open.
Yeah.
Like a couple more good starts from Bybee, he could be right back in the conversation for some fringe votes.
Corbin-
Is Corbin Burns leading it right now?
Scooble.
Yes,
Skubal
but he's on a
is
bad
good.
team. How much is that going to
Yeah.
factor into it? Corbin Burns and Tarek Skubal both have had terrific first halves. Skubal keeps being mentioned as a trade candidate. I can't believe the Tigers would trade him, but if they deal him to a contender, you
Get
know.
hauled
But yeah, I mean, certainly Bybee's not winning it. I just need one vote.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm part of the BBWA, but I'm not eligible to vote on awards yet, or else I could rig this myself.
That would be the
and
funniest
just
plot twist.
vote for Tanner. I don't know. He got one vote. I don't know where it came from.
Tyvis,
But he got a vote.
all of a sudden, Zach Meisel gets a 23% raise from the
I'm telling
Athletic
you.
because he has a vote and he votes for.
I'm gonna tell you
Tanner
right now,
Bybee.
if he gets one vote, I am gonna look at you fishy. I'm not gonna lie. If he gets one vote,
You know what? I didn't think
Look
about
at
that
you
till right
like,
now.
what?
I could totally find the voters for that award. and
he has
just
no shot
And
of
just
winning
send a
it, so
PR
just give it
email to
him.
everyone.
one steak dinner. I could buy me a Tanner Bybee vote. Just one. That's all I need.
If he gets one vote, it's void. I'm telling you, he gets
It is
just
two
one.
votes.
It's void.
So you went in the same vein as your preseason prediction. You stuck with the home run.
Yes, I got
Jason went with just copy and paste of his preseason
Yep.
prediction. I didn't have a preseason prediction, and I came up with two because I didn't have a preseason one.
Okay.
My first, and I'm not quite sure how bold this is, so the second one's a little spicier. I think Angel Martinez just takes over for Tyler Freeman as their everyday center fielder and two-hole hitter. By the end of the season, I think Angel Martinez will be a fixture in the lineup, a fixture in center field over the last 30 days. And he played 13 games.
Wait a minute. So if he does that and he just continues to bat well, are you saying that he's going to be one of the best prospects that we have?
Yeah, he was number 2 on my list of choices. I just went with the other one. And we don't have to go back
He's
to
not
that
as
for the
surprised
second
as
time.
Hunter
Yes.
Gaddis has been, though. I
But-
can tell you that.
Over the last 30 days,
I want to do. You better be glad we on camera.
over the last 30 days or 30 games, Tyler Freeman's just struggled.
Yes.
He's regressed from an offensive standpoint. He's batting below 200. His OPS is in the 500s. He has a little more pop than Miles Straw did, but it's coming and going. And I mean, those are his 2024 season numbers. I just think Angel Martinez is a more consistent bat in a lineup that needs some more pop. And I haven't seen a big enough difference in a defensive capacity from Angel Martinez to Tyler Freeman or vice versa to make me think that there's a reason to keep Freeman in center field if you have a similar defensive value but better offensive option to put in that two-hole spot. Plus, it gives you a little more lineup flexibility. You can move Schneemann around. So I think by the end of the season, the everyday 2-hole hitter and center fielder for the Guardians will be that guy, Angel Martinez. And my other bold prediction, I want you guys to answer both of these afterwards, is Tristan McKenzie ends up playing a major role in a good way for the Guardians rotation.
Now that's bold.
That is very
end
bold.
of the August-September stretch. I don't know I have no stats to back this up. It's a pure gut feeling. I just refuse to believe the McKenzie we saw earlier this year
It's gone.
No, that is who he is. I'm praying that he can figure something out in AAA with Columbus, get his confidence back, and stop missing in the middle of the plate, belt high with 95-mile-an-hour fastball that does not move. But he will be a contributor in this Guardians rotation down the stretch.
He did have one pitching game where he had like 7 strikeouts.
He had 10 in a game this year.
Really?
And look that up. What
thought
was
it
the
was
most
only
strikeouts
like
he had in a
7
game
or
this year? I
8.
think it was 10.
So he is there. He just got it. Maybe he's
His curveball's filthy. It's his fastball isn't getting by people.
That's very spicy. I'll tell you that because what we seen lately, his last couple of starts,
Not great.
and you trust him in the playoffs?
No, I didn't say playoff rotation.
Oh,
I said
what did you
rotation
say?
Is going to help them clinch the
Oh,
AL. Like down the stretch
okay.
when they're still going 5 starters.
Okay.
He's one of the 5 guys that's going to pitch a couple of big games down the
Thank
stretch.
you for clarifying that.
Yeah, no, he's not in the playoff
You
rotation.
said playoffs. I was going to look at you like.
No, as they get ready for the playoffs.
Well, he's got an ERA close to 7 and 2 starts in Columbus.
Yeah, that's what I said. I have no number. There's not a single number that backs
It's
this
not
up.
happening.
Gut feel.
That is bold.
That's very.
That's bold.
And what's the most strikeouts he had in a
He
game?
had 9 strikeouts against the Rockies
9.
on Tuesday, June 28th.
How could you forget that game? It was a Tuesday.
I seen your boy had a start. Matthew, what is it? Matthew
Boyd had his first.
Rehab
I don't know why he
rehab
called him my
stuff.
boy. Like,
Oh, that ain't your boy?
why would Matthew Boyd be my
Somebody
boy?
was big, or maybe it's Bull. Somebody was like, he
Bull
could
is
be.
definitely not.
I
big
don't
on
think
that.
anyone's
said
been
he's
big
an
on
idiot.
Matthew Boyd in 5 years.
We just asked about him. Was that yesterday or 2 days ago? Somebody just asked about him. That's why I was like, oh, you
Must
must
have been
be.
on one of the other media shows. I don't think. you would see
Maybe.
it.
Yeah,
Thoughts
everything.
on Freeman losing the starting center fielder job to Martinez?
I still like Freeman for the long term, but I actually agree with you. And when I was thinking about this, I was going to do something like that, and I didn't know how bold it was, so I thought I'd just have fun and hang with my original prediction and double down on it.
Was you
But
going to say that Angel Martinez will have a better batting average than Stephen Kwan?
I would not say that.
I was about to go there.
Well, I'm glad you stuck with what you stuck with because that's much better. If you think, I mean, Quan could. It's actually.
It's not
that
the
crazy.
way Kwan been playing lately. It's not crazy.
No, I mean, Quan could come down to 320, 325. You know, I don't think he's going to dip below that. I don't think Martinez is going to get there, though.
Where is he at currently?
Martinez, like,
352, I think. Martinez 277. Quan's 352.
It
stick
would've
with-
been real
stick
bold.
with-
Yeah,
But-
I'm good.
Happy Christmas.
In
and
13
20 home
games,
runs.
though, like batting average is such a
Right.
ticky. He gets
Right.
one hit, it goes up 20 points. He goes out 3 times, he drops down 50 points.
I mean, we've got 2 weeks to go till the
the
trade
deadline,
deadline.
yeah.
And I'm fascinated to see by what this team does because they need a bat wherever. Put it wherever
Cody
you want.
Bellinger.
Put it wherever you want.
Cody Bellinger.
And that's the one thing that their flexibility provides is they can move guys around. And, you know, I mentioned it, Bull mentioned it. I wonder if the arrival of Bizana or the drafting of Bizana will help them or maybe allow them to be more aggressive. Fill shortstop on a short-term basis. Just get for 1 year and then turn around and flip them. Go get Bo Bichette now and then flip them after the season and recoup a little bit for him. You're not going to get as much as you have to give up, but you get a little bit back for him.
And if you look at their draft strategy, they drafted 9 pitchers on
Yeah.
the first 2 days to try and replenish that
Yeah.
farm system. So now they have a little more flexibility to pick and choose which pitchers they keep. They have way more flexibility in their farm system to trade a few of the middle infielders, even the guys they may have liked.
Yeah.
You just have an influx, and you can only play so many of them. And even when you try and shift them around to center field, second base, shortstop, corner outfield, whatever, you can't play 9 middle infield. It just gives them more flexibility to try and trade some of their better prospects to cash in on a bigger time trade target.
How long does it usually take not Paul Skeens
Right,
type pitcher,
right.
but a regular pitcher to make it to the?
It depends if it's high school or college. If it's a college
So the guy that we took with our second pick was his Braden.
he was a high school kid.
He's a high school kid.
So
yeah,
it's gonna be a while.
3 years,
Yeah.
probably 3 years.
Okay.
I
Some
mean,
of
just
the-
figure a level at a time. And now, though, you know, it's not a full year, but he'll start in Class A, and then probably
Go high A.
and then probably by the end of next year he's in Double A.
Okay.
Hopefully, if he progresses well, if he follows the, and they got to sign these guys.
Yeah. That's half. Yeah, you draft them does not mean you get them all.
That's true too.
Right.
But
Right. And it just feels like prospects now are fast-tracked more than they were 10 and 15 years ago. A high school guy, it may take 4 or 5 years to see him. Now, guys are getting there faster. Whether I don't know if it's the development. I don't know. I don't really have a good answer as to what, but it seems like guys are fast-tracked and get to the majors now faster than they did 10 to 15 years ago.
we'll pivot and talk Browns in one sec. But with the deadline 2 weeks away and training camp starting next week for the Browns, what's a bigger storyline in your opinion for the next 2 months? The next 2 weeks, the start of camp, or whatever the Guardians decide to do.
To us or to the
Just
city
you,
of
to
Cleveland?
No, that's to the city of Cleveland.
Well, this is a Browns
I
town,
know,
so-
but because of what the situation the Guardians are at, and it being training camp
fans
versus
are
deadline, still,
lunatics, so it's the Browns.
Still
But
Browns?
it should be the
It should be
in
the Guardians.
reality, it's the Guardians because the next 2 weeks is going to dictate the next 3 months. So that's the right answer. But these people are such lunatics about the Browns that it's probably going to be the Browns.
Well, speaking of the Browns, Ant, you want to give us an ad read? We'll get into our first Browns topic of the day.
Yeah, guys, I just want to remind everybody that if you don't get enough Guardians coverage here on the 2-hour show, we do have the Ultimate Guardians. It's every Monday and Friday now with Bull and Zach Meisel. Go check it out. It's the best Guardians podcast you can find on the internet or online, anywhere, really. I mean, hands down, the best Guardians coverage that you can find in the city if you don't get enough here.
And even though Bull's on vacation for the next 2 weeks, he will still be doing the Guardian show on Mondays and Fridays. All right, guys, our next topic is something that Sports Illustrated put out last week. In 2019, Sports Illustrated put out an article titled, "Which NFL teams will win the Super Bowl in the next 5 years?" And they had their entire panel of writers.
Who did this, Sports Illustrated?
Sports Illustrated.
They have a panel of writers still?
I guess they have enough because they did have a panel of writers contribute to this one
Depends
today.
on how many people
But
you're
it,
talking
yeah,
about.
it depends on how big of a panel,
Panel
it
of
is.
writers, that's 3 or 4.
They've got a couple that I really respect, and the rest of them, nah.
But in 2019, when they asked this to do this exercise, 8 of their 10 writers predicted the Kansas City Chiefs to win at least one Super Bowl
in the next 5
in the
years.
next 5 years.
That's respectful.
3 of them picked multiple Super Bowls for the Kansas City Chiefs in the next 5 years. Nobody, this is this year's results. Don't take this yet, Steve. This is this year's. We'll get to that in a sec. Drop it. Nobody picked the Rams, who won a Super Bowl. Nobody picked the Bucks, who won a Super Bowl. But 2 writers picked the Browns in 2019 to win one in the next 5 years, and they didn't.
Okay.
So now they're rerunning the premise back
So they did this back in when?
in 2019.
Okay.
And
And
in
2
the
people
cor-
picked the Browns?
2 people picked the Browns, yes.
Okay. They should have doubled down on it.
So the list of writers and panelists have changed.
Okay. It's 5
But
years
it's the
later.
same exact exercise in the next 5 years. So 20, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28.
Okay.
Who wins and how many will they win? They asked their writers, and these are the results. And if you want to take that graphic back, you can take it back up. 10 people picked the Chiefs to win a Super Bowl here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 writers. 2 picked the Chiefs to win 2 Super Bowls, but everyone picked the Chiefs to win at least 1 Super Bowl over the next 5 years.
Okay.
The Lions, second most,
That's
with
crazy.
6 projected Super Bowls over the next 5 years. The Niners with 5, the Chargers with 4, the Texans with 3.
The Chargers.
The Ravens, the Bills, the Bengals, the Eagles, and the Vikings with 2. The Rams and the Dolphins each had 1 Super Bowl to their name. The Browns were in among the list of the rest of the NFL that nobody picked to win a Super Bowl over the next 5 years. So, Jason, Tyvis, the question I'm asking you, did the Sports Illustrated panel of writers get this right, or will the Browns win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years? Tyvis, start us off.
It is, I'm going to be honest with you. If the Lions win one before the Browns, I am going to feel some type of way because I always thought that we would do it before them because of the history. You know, at some point, it was a point in time where the Browns were dominant. You know, with the Lions, it seemed like they were always close but never there. And fast forward till now, yeah, the Lions team is a really good team. They got a really good coach. But when I see them play, I don't look at them like the Browns can't do that. Like this has been the first few years where I've looked at the Browns like they can go toe-to-toe with anybody. So at some point, it just all has to come together now. I think Jason talks about it with the cast, how you feel like you right there. You just need to tweak one or two little things and then you're there. And that's why I feel like the Browns are. And that's why I thought this offseason was so interesting, to get rid of your offensive coordinator, to get a new OC in there, to go make a trade to go get a wide receiver. You know, it seems like every year the things that we complain about the most, that offseason, they always address it. You know, 2 years ago, it was the defense and the D tackles. They fixed that. Last year, we complained about the wide receivers and sometimes the play calling, and they fixed that. So if they continue to do that in the next 5 years, I don't see how they don't. Now, granted, a lot of it has to do with your quarterback situation, but I always tell you, I think that, and we hear Wyatt Teller coming out and saying it, you know, he has it in him. He has to just do it consistently. And if we see him for 17 games and beyond that, I think they have a good a chance as anybody to win the Super Bowl. So I would have least put them down for one.
Jason?
I don't know if their window extends to 5 years. I think it's 2 years. If they don't do it in the next 2 years, I don't think they're going to do it in the 3 that follow. Yeah. Myles Garrett's 29, Nick Chubb's 28. We know about the Deshaun situation, and he has not, to this point, lived up to the contract. I think it's really a 2-year window for the Browns. I don't know if they don't do it then, I don't know what would give you faith to believe that as these guys in their prime get older, Amari Cooper in the last year of his deal right now, the Browns haven't shown to this point any inclination to extend him. I don't know what would make you believe that they would be closer 4 years from now than they are right now. The window is right now. So and from that instance, I get why they say probably not for 5 years, because if you look at teams that are dominant right now, like I wouldn't pick the Lions to win one right now, but I feel like their window is longer, their runway is longer than what the Browns is. The Browns runway, believe it or not, has been the last couple of years. Odell, Jarvis Landry, you know, at one time you thought Baker maybe could be, and then clearly he wasn't. Now when you get Deshaun, you think, okay, that is, and then last year clearly wasn't. Their window they're already sort of in the middle and toward the back end, in my belief, of where their window is, where the Lions are just sort of entering theirs. So while the Chiefs are the Chiefs right now, could the Browns win a Super Bowl this year? Yeah, okay. I could be talked into that, but they wouldn't be my favorite to win it right now. And I just think as you progress through the next 5 years, the odds diminish. Yeah. The window is right now.
I guess when you say it like that, I think because of giving off a recency, are you saying that because you don't trust them drafting?
I believe that they have elite talent in the prime of their career right now. And I don't believe them to be in a position to get another Myles. They're not going to be able to draft another Myles Garrett over the course of the next 5 years, unless things go drastically wrong or unless they get really lucky.
And part of the reason a team like Detroit is set up so well over the next 5 years, and I agree to Jason's point, like, if you're asking me this year who has a better chance to win the Super Bowl, the Browns or the Lions, I would pick the Browns. Over the next 5 years, you look at the best young talent in football, the under 25-ish talent, the next crop that you're going to lean on for the next 5 year period. The Lions, real quick, and I'm probably forgetting guys off the top of my head. Hutchinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sewell, I think Amon-Ra's 25 by himself. Jamison Williams. Laporta. That's 6 guys who are legit elite young level talent. The Browns in that under 25 group, you have Emerson, JOK, and then you got question marks. So, like, to Jason's point.
Who else do they have that's under 25?
We just went over this.
We did the 25 under 25 list. The Browns had nobody on it.
We only had JOK and MJ. That was our
Nobody was on the list.
No one made the list. Those were the 2 you could. DeJuan Jones, if you really want to stretch it, but he's not at the level. Yeah, so, like they're, to Jason's point,
and almost all those guys were first-round picks, if you remember back.
Exactly, and part of the reason they haven't replenished it is because they haven't had first-round picks as part of the
But they also drafted correctly.
Those teams hit on their first-round
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Most of that 25 under 25, I forget the exact number. It was like
18 first-round picks.
18 were first-rounders, and the Browns haven't had first-rounders.
Yeah. So to Jason's point, I agree with the fact that their window is this year or next year more than the latter 3 years of this 5-year window for the experiment. If Deshaun gets back to being Deshaun, though, over the next 2 years, while you still have Myles Garrett, who should be in his prime, if Nick Chubb gets back to being Nick Chubb, you should have a balanced and dangerous offensive attack. Their offensive line may not be elite still, but it's certainly in the top half, top 10 of the league, in my opinion. Their defense, and Bo always makes the case defenses don't carry over year to year. You and him went back and forth on it yesterday, Davies. They have all the talent in the world on that defensive end, so I expect it to be a good defense. There's no reason the Browns shouldn't be able to compete for a Super Bowl this year, next year, and if Deshaun's Deshaun, the entire time he's in a Cleveland Browns uniform, because that is the one consistent thing you need in a Super Bowl contender. AFC, NFC, AFC North, NFC South, doesn't matter. You need a top-tier quarterback. So that's the case for the Browns. If you wanted to make the case against the Browns, it goes with the fact that, A, I think the 2-year window's a little more realistic than a 5-year. And look at the AFC right now. And are you going to pick in that 2-year span the Browns and whatever we have from a legitimate information data point on Deshaun Watson over Mahomes, Jackson, Lamar, Burrow, Allen, the entire gauntlet of AFC quarterbacks, and that's the unknown. So to answer the actual exercise, will they win one in the next 5 years? I certainly think it's possible. I don't think I'd bet yes if it was a simple yes or no question.
How many playoff games has Deshaun played in?
3. He's 1 and 2.
1 and 2. So at least he got some experience. I like the chances. I hear y'all on the 2-year thing. I think that ultimately, obviously Deshaun plays the major factor in all of this. But even if they did have to move off of Deshaun, it would come down to that pick. And if they hit that pick and it's a good quarterback, that window is still there. So that's why but I understand why people would be hesitant to that, because our draft picks.
Also, you're banking on what should be a mid to late first round pick. Are you gonna hit a franchise quarterback with that pick?
Like, if it's a dude, you trading up for that. So
fair enough, but in a 5-year span, that's a big bank or a big hypothetical risk to take to then get to the reward you're trying to get to. It's not impossible. I'm not saying the Browns have no chance to win a Super Bowl outside of this 2-year window. I just think they're better suited with the current roster they have, based on the age of their better players.
I guess I got to see it. I got to see it this year. It's hard to say because it's so many different variables that we didn't get to see last year. I would have to see. I got to see how this season plays out. They need to ask me this after the season.
Let me ask you this, Jason. So when they did this in 2019, two writers gave the Browns a vote.
I totally understand why.
So you think it's more realistic or more
reasonable?
The logic made more sense to vote for them in 2019 than it does for now, based off the 5-year stretch from 2019 to 2024 as opposed to 2024 to 2028.
Let's make the Lions comparison. The Browns were the Lions in 2019. That was the Browns in 2019.
Good point, yeah.
When you look at, hey, they've got Baker Mayfield, this hot young quarterback. They finally solved their quarterback issues. Hey, they've got a young Nick Chubb. They've got Myles Garrett in his prime.
Njoku.
So that looked in 2019. You could make a much stronger argument that the Browns would win a Super Bowl over the next 5 years.
And you're projecting Baker to continue to progress after that rookie season. That's a good point.
The Lions should have been in the Super Bowl. They completely blew that. That's another reason why I see why people vote them to win, because they literally had the 49ers beat.
There.
And they blew it was a 21-point lead, right? I want to say it was 20.
It was 3-score. I think it was 17. Don't quote me on that.
Okay. Well,
but it was a 3-score league.
Yeah, they blew a 3-score league. And then if they do go against Kansas City, you remember week 1 last year, they beat Kansas City in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Travis Kelce didn't play, but to go in Arrowhead and win like that, you had the confidence going into that game. If you were to play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, you wouldn't have been scared at the moment.
Hey, Steve, will you pull back up the graphic of all the teams that they picked? Before we wrap up this topic, let's go through the teams that they picked to win 1 or 2, and let's see if we would pick the Browns over those specific teams to win one in the next 5 years. The Dolphins, better chance to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years, Miami or Cleveland? I'd take the Browns. Tyreek Hill's getting up there once he's off the team. I don't know what it is.
Isn't he done like in 2 years?
Tyreek?
Yeah.
That and I just
he
don't
said he
trust
was
Tua.
playing this contract and he was retiring. So, but when
he's got 12 kids to take care of.
I could take the Browns.
I would take the Browns.
I take the Browns because there's something about the Dolphins in cold weather where they just don't show up. And obviously in January everything is cold. So
I could take the Browns.
I'd take the Browns.
The Rams. Thoughts on the Rams?
See, this was tricky because this depends on Matthew Stafford. Once Stafford is gone, it's gonna look completely different.
But I feel like they could be a team that could potentially get a Dak Prescott or another big quarterback to come do exactly what Matt Stafford did a few years ago and be a plug-and-play veteran.
Well, I would have to see that.
I mean, you're projecting 5 years out. That's why no one picked the Rams in 2019, and then they got Stafford and won. So that's the whole part of the exercise.
I like
that
JT. I mean, obviously Cooper Kupp will probably be gone in the next 5 years, but
Kyron,
Puka,
Nakua.
Kyron, and Blake Corum.
Yeah,
you could talk me into that. That defense. I got to see what that defense look like now that Donald is gone.
Yeah.
But I take the Browns right now. Today, I take the Browns over the Rams.
Maybe this is bias. I'm probably with you on that.
I would too. It's close. I would go 55-45.
No, it's very close. Yeah.
Minnesota got 2 different votes.
That one's a little surprising.
I guess you have to be banking on J.J. McCarthy turning out to be a stud.
Yeah.
I would not take Minnesota
I wouldn't either.
over the Browns either.
I don't know.
Based on what?
Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and T.J. Hawkinson. But who they have on defense? Because Danielle Hunter's gone.
They signed Grenard from Houston to replace him.
Okay.
Don't look at me like it's. I'm just telling you. You're looking at me like
I'm trying to think defensively.
I'm just telling you what they did. Yeah, I don't love their defense.
I don't know why they got 2.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
Now, granted, they got real quick to clarify. They got 1 vote from 2 different writers.
I don't care.
Right.
They shouldn't have got none.
Rosenberg's good. I've never heard of that other dude.
Plum.
Yeah, I mean, Breer and Rosenberg are the 2 biggest names.
And Bishop.
I don't know.
Bishop, yeah.
But
I like JJ in that offensive scheme and Kevin O'Connell's scheme, but
how can you pick them to win a Super Bowl?
that's the part that I don't understand.
I guess they're banking on a rookie quarterback contract for the next 5 years. They have money to put a team around them, but I would not pick Minnesota over Cleveland either.
Like, I don't even think they're gonna win their division.
See, I would put the Packers on there.
I would put the Packers over them,
I think
too.
the Packers have a better shot than the Vikings to win a Super Bowl.
That's the line for me right there. Those 3 teams that we talked about, you could convince me to put the Browns on the list over those 3 teams. Nobody else on that list.
Ty, would you draw the line right there?
I agree with him, actually.
I do too.
What's with the Chargers? What's your thought with the Chargers?
Yeah, you know what?
That's counting on Herbert. That's counting on Harbaugh to fix Herbert.
Yeah.
They kind of snuck. I didn't see them up there.
Do you believe that?
He's pretty good.
And he has success quickly. He's not a builder of programs. He's
I mean,
what?
In the NFL.
Okay, yeah. What?
No. But I mean, like, he went to San Francisco.
What?
I'd have to go back and look. I don't know if that's true or not.
He had good records.
Wasn't it? That's what I'm saying.
He
Like,
had
he
good
comes in
records.
quickly, yeah.
They didn't win no big games, though.
This is 5 years. I'm saying he's got to come in
It
in
took
the next 5 years.
him.
Well, Michigan was a different
It took him
proposition.
about 5 years to.
Wasn't it his second year when he took San Francisco to the Super Bowl?
Was it?
I think so.
I gotta see it.
I
gotta see it.
I really like him as a coach. I think he's a really good coach. I know people around here hate him because of Michigan, and that's fine.
I don't even know who you are.
If you
anymore.
take the colors away and look at the
I can't
look at the body of
can't
work.
unsee him.
He's a good coach. He's a good coach. You know he's a good coach. You don't have to admit it. I don't want to put your other job in jeopardy. You don't have to admit it.
You're hilarious.
I said that, not you.
You're hilarious. I don't know. I gotta see it.
All right, when he was at San Diego as a college coach, 7-4 his first year, 11-1 second year, 11-2 second year.
Yeah.
Or 11-1, so 11-1 back-to-back years.
It's good.
Goes to Stanford. 2 years at Stanford, under 500. Third year at Stanford, 8-5. Fourth year at Stanford, 12-1.
Out of curiosity, what years was that? Because I know a guy that played there at that time.
Yeah, Andrew Luck definitely helped.
No.
2007 to 2010.
2010. 2007 to 2010?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. What was their record? Just out of curiosity. One more time. Sorry. What was their record those years?
In total?
Yeah, 2007, 2008, and into 2010. What was the record?
It was 29-21.
Okay.
Bad the first 2 years, good the second 2 years. Goes to the NFL. First year in the NFL, 13-3. Lost to the Giants in the NFC Championship game.
That's a good year.
Second year in the NFL, 11-4-1, lose to the Super Bowl. Third year in the NFL, 12-4, lost to the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. Then he went 8-8 and dipped.
Does have a good record.
So
He's a good coach.
He's a good coach.
He's
yeah.
a good coach.
Well, we'll see how quickly it happens, but
I mean,
you're banking to put the Chargers on that list. You're banking on Harbaugh being a top 2 or 3 NFL head coach.
To be honest with you,
Which
yes.
I wouldn't do, by the way. I actually don't think they should have that many votes, and I had them in the exact same tier as the Browns.
I don't think he needs to be all of that. When you look at
their
roster's ridiculous. Like they just haven't. They gotta put it together defensively. To Joey, to Khalil, Derwin James.
But Khalil's gone after this year.
Well, then they better hurry up.
Well, that's my
They better hurry
So
up.
I wouldn't have them at 4. I would put them in the exact same tier as the Browns, if not below the Browns.
But again, that's 4 riders, not 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah, 4 riders.
That's just 4 riders who picked them.
So we're all pretty much in agreement there on where they fit.
Yeah.
All right, and let's do a real talk. JOK or Cooper?
Yeah, guys, as you all know, I love sports. I love them so much I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down and we get fewer games, the sports just aren't sporting like I want them to. However, FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever and wherever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. All you have to do is head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official betting partner of the Major League Baseball.
That was a hell of an end to that.
Yeah, I had word
Great
soup for that
job.
there at the end. That's my bad.
Let's hope Andrew Berry's better at negotiating contracts than Ant is at finishing that ad read right there. And that brings us to our next topic, which is if the Browns could only extend one. For the sake of this exercise, you can only pick one. Amari Cooper or JOK, who gets the extension? Jason, start us off.
But it's not that simple.
That's what I said.
It ain't like...
I need to know the years.
Right. Okay, I'd rather have Amari Cooper than JOK on my team. As great of a year as JOK had.
I agree.
As great as he was. It's easier to find a linebacker to put into that system.
I said the same thing.
Right? Well, that makes me
agree.
But Amari's a better player, and if we're talking like 1 year.
That's what I said. I said it was a loaded question when I seen it. Like, it was a loaded question.
It's like, give me a 1 year deal on Amari. All right, sign me up for 1 year. Give me this year of Amari and 1 more year of Amari. We're good. Amari ain't going to take that deal. Browns, I'm guessing, would do that deal.
All right, let's just
Amari
say-
wants more than that.
The Browns would have to do that, right?
Yes.
There's no way they'd say
For
no
the
to
sake of this argument, let's go
3 years.
3 years
3-year
each.
deal.
3 years each.
3 years.
3 years beyond this year? Because they're both under contract
No,
for this year.
Listen.
So 2 years after this year, it's
2 years.
more money than 2 more.
So we're going to
add-ons.
say 2 years. You got 2 years and $40 million to spend. Both would accept.
See, but I think Amari wants is just because positional value.
They
And-
both,
and listen,
and for the sake of the argument, both will accept it.
2 years after this year.
Yep.
What's the guaranteed money?
Oh my goodness.
It's hard to.
Only him.
It is hard to answer because there are a bunch of different caveats to each of these.
Yeah.
deals.
The
So
wide
I guess here,
receivers-
let's try to clarify the question and hammer it home so we have a better chance to answer this fairly. For fair market price, which is different for receivers and linebackers.
That's
so it can't be the
ridiculous.
same money.
That's ridiculous.
Well, I'm saying if it's a fair deal for both sides, I guess who would you rather extend? Because a linebacker's money is different than a wide receiver's
I
money.
would rather extend Amari. But when you take the money and everything else into it, I think JOK makes more sense. Is that, I don't know if I'm contradicting.
What you said is, listen, let's just call a spade a spade. In this game, in today's day and age, you need Amari Cooper to win more than you need
Yes.
JOK. Like,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
just flat out
Yes.
what it is.
Yes.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
easier to replace a JOK than it would be to replace what
Yes.
Amari Cooper only is to this offense, to this team. So that's what makes this whole thing difficult. I think in the end, we all probably would pick Amari.
Yes.
But long term, due to the fact of Amari's age and JOK's age, you would take JOK because you know you're going to have him for a longer period of time, and you know he's going to be great for a longer period of time. To where Amari might have 2 years left of just top NFL football left in him. So that's why this whole thing is kind of. If we had today, if I'm extending today, my Super Bowl window is 2 years, like you say. I'm
You go
taking
Amari.
Amari.
Amari Cooper.
I think
all
it is
day.
what it is.
in a vacuum and in theory, I think you always extend the receiver over the linebacker. Just it's much harder, in my opinion, to find game-changing receivers than it is to find game-changing linebackers. And when you look at the history of the Browns, in particular under Andrew Berry, they have not done a great job finding guys at that position who are legitimate, explosive contributors.
That receiver.
At receiver,
Yes.
at receiver, at that specific position. But then you factor in the age, and we've talked about the 30-year-old wall with receivers, and is it real, is it not? I think as we move further and further away and medical treatment and training and all that gets better, it may not be 30 anymore, it may be 31 or 32, but you're certainly not entering the prime of your career at 30, and if you extend them at fair market value to what other receivers have gotten this year, you're paying a lot of money to a guy on the wrong side of his career, no matter what that peak timeline is.
Yeah.
Who has been dealt with injuries late in the season each of the past 2 years.
And
am I wrong in thinking he had the core injury this year and wasn't it the
He's always got
it's
Yeah,
always a
yeah,
little
yeah,
something. So on the other hand, you look
He's
at JOK.
also not the biggest guy. Like
No.
Who? Amari?
Yeah.
What is he,
He's
6'1"?
6. I think he's 6'1", 210, which is it's okay size, but it's
That's
not
a
like
decent size.
Yeah, it's not like
about what you need.
it's not DK. On the other hand, you got JOK, who younger, coming off the best season of his career. Davies explained to us time and time again via the film that he does things that don't really make sense because of how explosive, athletic, and instinctual he can be. But as you said the other day, did he showcase those skills because the defensive line was so good at taking away the offensive linemen so he can just make a play? And if they're not playing at that level, does JOK's play then fall not all the way back to the point where DeQuell called him a safety, but somewhere in between all-pro and he can't play? And you don't really know the answer yet till we see what happens this season. So I would go with JOK just because of the age factor. But Amari's a better football player right now.
I think that
Does that make sense?
the reason that I think I would probably take Amari is because you also have to take in the fact of who's behind them. So if they're gone, who do you have?
Devin Bush or Elijah Moore?
Judy.
Well, but you're looking. Judy move up to 1, so you're not even 2. Like,
Well,
if your 2 receivers are Judy and Cooper, then it's Judy and Moore. Comfortable with Devin Bush?
He was a first-round pick for a reason, right?
So?
It's got to be there somewhere.
There's a
right?
long list of
Gotta
first-round
be-
picks.
it's
It
gotta
should
be
not have
there.
been first-round
But it's
picks.
got to be there. So what if they said this? Listen, you did too much thinking when you was with Pittsburgh. You did too much
And
thinking.
Seattle.
Let's just eliminate. This is what you got. You see this guy block down, go. If he don't, stay.
And
in
isn't that what Jim Schwartz does? He
That was
eliminates
it.
the thinking?
So if somebody told you that it eliminated all the thinking, and you just got one read, you see it. All right, this is what I do. If you see this is what I do. Don't you think?
let me ask you
this
this.
is a first round talent.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this, Thomas. If Devin Bush had to step into JOK's role and Elijah Moore had to step into Amari Cooper's role, who fills the other role better? It's Bush, right?
Bush.
Yeah.
I'll be more comfortable. Even though number 8, listen, number 8 gonna have a bounce back year. I'm telling you right now. When Elijah Moore has a good year this year, I want y'all to all public. I want an apology in the chat, Davies. I'm sorry. You saw it before anybody else did. And you know what? It's not even gonna be something to gloat off of. I'm gonna just be like, I saw it all along.
At what expense? At whose expense is he going to have? Because so Njoku,
So who ain't gonna have a good
Amari,
year?
Yeah, Njoku, Amari.
I think
Jerry
Njoku take a
Jeudy.
step back.
All right.
Ken Dorsey doesn't always utilize tight ends. That is a legit knock, or not a knock, but a legit.
David Njoku never looked better than when Joe Flacco was throwing the ball to him. That's the best he's looked.
I agree with you.
What does that say about the state of the Browns quarterback play over the last since Njoku's been here and long since before that?
As long as he's winning, they better be winning games. If you see, the thing is,
If you're winning games, it don't matter what the numbers
That's
say.
what I'm saying. If you losing and your numbers is bad, that's when you see the outburst. But if you winning, it's like, well, at least we win it.
Yep.
And ask Earl, who would he extend? JOK or Cooper if he had to pick one?
He's hopping on the mic right now.
I agree with you all. I think Amari is a better football player. I would extend Amari. I think you can find somebody else that does what Jock does, but Jock is younger, and we all know how Andrew Berry does business. It wouldn't surprise me if Jock is the one that gets the contract extension and it's not Amari.
Most realistic outcome, they'll move on to the Cavs. They both get extensions. Neither gets an extension, or one or the other gets an extension.
Oh, one or the other.
One.
You think one?
JOK gets the extension.
I agree.
Earl, last thought, then we'll move on to some Cavs.
Unless you about to extend Martin Emerson Jr., don't hand out no more extension money until you get that taken care of.
What's Emerson's guaranteed money looking like? We talking, 3 for $80 million guaranteed?
More than that. What Denzel get guaranteed? He need 30% more than whatever Denzel got guaranteed.
30%
my
more?
30%
Goodness
more.
Gracious.
You out of your mind. You out of line now. It's ridiculous. No, not even close. Not even close. No.
And put up a poll. Who
Absolutely
stands
not.
for their guy more? Earl for MJ or Tyvis for PJ?
We lost the best thing we ever had. Seattle got a true winner over there now.
Oh, did he call you and ask about Seattle?
No, you know, I need to reach out to him and be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to tell you the apartment I used to stay at and tell you all the hangout spots and stuff like that, you know?
Ty still got it. All right, man, let's get a read and let's talk a little Cavs.
Craziness.
Yeah, guys, we're getting into the Cavs here, and if you don't get enough Cavs coverage here on the 2-hour show, what are you doing? You got to go watch The Ultimate Cavs. Mike, you just did an episode last night. Why don't you give the people a little teaser of what you got?
Yeah, we talked about the Cavs standing in the Eastern Conference, a little summer league preview of last night's game, which we're going to break down with Spencer Davies here in
Wait a minute.
15 minutes.
I don't want you to tell me. I want Jason.
He didn't ask me this time.
He was at a swim meet.
He didn't
I'm
ask
just
me.
saying. It's two,
You told me you were going to swim meet.
It's two people. It's two people on that screen.
I have not done a Cavs show in a while. I need to get back on it. But like, he's done more than I thought we were going to do. He's such a overachiever. It's annoying. It's annoying how much this guy loves to work.
I just like getting paid. But it's on. Go check it out. I have my boy Cole Bond hung out, talked some Cavs. So, speaking of Cavs, guys, the Cavs have prioritized internal development this offseason, right? Because they haven't made any outside moves, so that must be what they're banking on.
Yeah.
To get this Cavaliers team from being a 4 and 5 seed in the Eastern Conference into the top 3. So we figured we'd run through the gauntlet, starting with their starters and making our way down to the bench as long as time permits, and figure out what each player on the Cavs needs to add to their game to improve their overall level of play for the upcoming season. So let's start with the big guns, and we'll move our way down. Start with Donovan Mitchell. Jason, what do you think Donovan has to add to his game in 2024-2025 to maximize his full potential?
Trust.
Interesting.
It's a great answer.
Trust in Evan Mobley. If they're going to run more of the offense through him, that means Donovan has to relinquish some of the control. Trust in, and it's something that we talked about quite a bit over the last couple of years about not trying to do everything yourself and just give me the ball and get out of the way and trying to do everything late in games. And he and I talked about how the knee injury he evolved on that, and he wanted to put Darius in positions to have the ball in his hands at the end of games, and just continuing that mindset of, I'm not going to do it all myself. I can't do it all myself. Let's let Darius try and win this game. Let's put the ball in Evan's hands here and run the offense through him and see what that looks like. Sometimes, when he scored, I can't remember now how many points he scored in the Orlando game when he had to take over. There are instances where you have to do it because you don't trust the guys around you. And I think that's what happened at that Orlando game. But through the course of a regular season, when you're on a Tuesday in March in Milwaukee or Memphis, putting other guys in position, let them know what it feels like, and give them the opportunity to win games. So give me trust.
You actually took my answer, so I'm going to switch it and say consistency. Consistency, I say that because it falls kind of in the trust bucket. At a certain point in time of last season when Darius was out, he became a point guard, and he looked really good facilitating and getting other people involved. And then once the playoffs came around, that point guard stuff went out the door. It was just about, I'm gonna do what we gotta do, what I gotta do to help us win. If y'all can join or y'all can't, it don't matter to me. But if you trust them and you're more consistent, you continue to put people in positions to score and facilitate the ball to them, and that shows that you trust them. And I think that would help them, their ego, their pride, because you got to remember that this Cavs team is young. This was only the second time that they've been in a playoff series, and they're still growing. So you got to help them experience some success so they believe in themselves. You got to help them build that confidence. We know you can do it, but we need to get you to help other people believe that they can also be that same impact to a game. So consistently trusting people. How about that?
Mine plays off that. It's off-ball movement. When he's not the focal point of the offense, he has to be more engaged in what he's doing instead of what JB allowed him. He's more than capable of this, so he doesn't have to necessarily add it. I think he has it in his game. He just has to get back to his roots. If Darius is the one initiating offense, or if it's Evan, or if it's Strus, or who's LeVert, he's got to be more of a factor off-ball just to get the defensive attention to make everyone else's job easier, which goes back to trust. If you know the guys with the ball, when it's not in your hands, can execute, you're more willing to move without the ball, be a decoy and get guys to follow you, which then opens up more space for everyone else. So it plays off the trust, but I would say just be a little more involved as an off-ball mover, decoy, facilitator. Be more engaged in that aspect of the offense. What about Darius? What does he need to improve on the most?
Confidence. He needs to believe that he is that dude. You know, at once upon a time, he was the star in Cleveland. He was the guy in Cleveland. And it seems like ever since Donovan came here, he's willingly accepted the second role. It didn't seem like he fought for it or anything. He just kind of was like, I'm number 2 now. No, if you want this thing to really work, you can be just as good as a Donovan. You can do the same things. You do gotta finish better at the rim, and that comes from just bulking up and trusting that your jaw will be fine through contact. But we don't want to see you in the playoffs dishing the ball when you the open man for the shot. Like, he shot really well in the playoffs, but he only shot like 3 shots. You should be confident enough in yourself to be able to take over. Remember the game where he waved Donovan off and hit the shot?
Chicago.
That's the Darius that we need to see consistently. You are as good as any point guard in this league, but you have to believe that in yourself. I can't tell you that. You have to believe that, and you have to be confident in yourself enough to make those plays.
Mine, I think, can go right alongside of that in its decision making. And how many times did we see him just dribble with no purpose, no compass, wasn't sure where he was going, just pounding the ball, dribble in, dribble out. The 8-second violation of the playoffs, that can't happen. It cannot happen under any circumstance. And that plays into what you were talking about when he waved off Donovan and takes the shot against Chicago. Just being more consistent in the decision-making, being more decisive in the decision-making, and getting back to the player that we know he can be.
Mine was finishing, and I made a note in my phone when I was doing this last night, look up his finishing stats from 2022 to 2023, and I forgot to do that. So I don't have the actual numbers for you, but after the jaw injury last year, it was obvious he was scared of the contact that could come from him breaking down his defender, getting into the paint, and led to second-guessing the best way to finish a good drive. He was still capable of getting by defenders last year. He wasn't capable of making the defense pay for him breaking down the defense, so they, frankly, stopped sending help, and then he got cut off, and then it goes back to decision making. It puts him in an in-between situation. He doesn't know, do I finish? Do I kick? Mm-hmm. He's kind of helping, but he's not fully helping. What do I do? And that indecisiveness led to subpar finishing statistics and efficiency. If he can get the confidence and the strength back to know, hey, when I get here, my first option has to be shoot, that'll change so much from a defensive standpoint, how they have to defend Darius, that the rest of his offense will open up. So I think getting back into the lab and refining his floaters, his left-handed layups, his right-handed layups, his in-between stop, get a guy in the back, hesitation, then go. Mm-hmm. If he adds that to his game, I think we see the Darius of old for the upcoming season. I want to start with Evan Mobley because the obvious answer is three-point shooting. That's not the answer I want to go with.
That wasn't the answer I was going to say.
It's a killer attacking mindset.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'll no, you got it. I went first. Go ahead.
Yeah, listen, if he shoots threes, it's awesome. It obviously helps. It creates more space. But more than anything for Evan, he has to find a way to put his impact and his fingerprints over the offense more than he was capable of doing under J.B. Bickerstaff. Now, maybe that's scoring, and maybe it's dominating the offensive glass. I think the way Atkinson is going to use him, and he mentioned the Draymond Green-esque role, is putting him in a facilitator position, which will allow Evan to get the ball in his hands, feel more comfortable within the offense, and then make the right decision to either attack his own guy, find a cutter, find a guy coming off a screen, whatever it may be. With the ball in his hands, he just can't be passive.
Yeah.
And we need Evan, if he's in those positions time after time after time, not to make the robotic play, but to make the right basketball play. And to make the right basketball play on a consistent basis, he has to be in attack mode. Mm-hmm. Whether that's picking off the defense because they're late coming around a double screen and they're sagging off the defender or sagging off the shooter, and hey, he's open, and the pass may not be 100% there, but I can make it, go make it, especially in the regular season. Find out his capabilities and his capacity in that role before the playoffs roll around, so you know exactly what you're getting from Evan Mobley, what he can do and what he can't do to maximize your offensive abilities come postseason time when teams actually play defense. Scoring in the second quarter of Game 13 in the regular season does not equate to scoring and running offense in the fourth quarter of Game 5 of a playoff series. The Cavs need to figure out what works and what doesn't in those situations, and the only way they're going to find out from Evan's standpoint is if he turns into an aggressive monster from an offensive mindset in terms of picking and choosing when he can and when he can't attack.
Very well said. I agree wholeheartedly with everything you say. He just needs to – he need to be a dog. Like, that's just what it is. Like, if you be a dog and you show people, like, I'm a problem, like, if you can try to play off me if you want to. I got the ability to hit a midi. I got the ability to put the ball on the ground, and I'm not afraid to try to go up and try to dunk this thing on your head. What it does is if he is going to be the facilitator, now it puts these defenders in a different position, because it's like even the guy that's not checking Evan got to be ready to slide over to help, because this guy shows that he'll put the ball on the ground, make a move, go to the bucket and finish, or I need to put another body there. So if he gets that type of mentality and get that type of reputation, now you got guys sliding over. Now, facilitator role, boom, kick it out to the corner because he's wide open. Now that makes the team better. But if you're going to make him this guy, he's going to stay passive and he's just going to look to pass all the time, well, now everybody's just going to sag off and be like, I'm going to stay in the passing lane because I know you're not strong enough to finish. You looking for somebody to bail you out. So he's got to be he's got to just get that straight dog mentality. I know it's not in your nature, but you definitely can develop it. I said it yesterday. I've seen people develop it. It's a mindset. You tell yourself, I'm the baddest MF on this court and ain't nobody going to stop me today. If you make that decision, I guarantee you'll find out people will get out your way. They like, this dude is crazy. So you got to have that type of mentality.
Yeah, you guys have covered it. I was going to say aggressiveness, but we're all saying the same thing in different dialects.
Well, Jared Allen. I had an interesting one for you.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
find a way to stay out the way. And I mean that in the I mean that in the I don't mean it in a bad way, but when they're going to run all this new motion on offense, you can't have two guys clogging the lane. Like and if it's going to be Evan facilitating, he's going to be at the high post. And I don't expect Jared to become a three-point shooter overnight. How do you still have Jared in the paint if Evan's facilitating from the high post and you want guys cutting off him? So what does Jared have to figure out? How just not to get in the way of that. And I don't know what the answer is. I have some ideas. I have some theories that could work, but I'm curious to see what Kenny Atkinson comes up with. So for me, Jared Allen, how do you fit into that system without clogging up things too much?
Kenny Atkinson's offense, he doesn't particularly like guys taking middies, right?
He wants layups and threes.
He better get in the best shape of his life and be ready to backdoor something. So I don't.
Does that make sense what I'm saying, though?
I know exactly what you're saying, but I'm
sense.
trying to figure out what he can do. Like he'll be.
Now, there are ways to create space with two bigs. We've gone over it before.
He'll be a screen setter, but like.
But if you're not going to guard him when he's setting screens on the perimeter, you can just sag in.
That's what I'm saying. I don't.
So he's got to figure out how to be effective without just being around the paint.
He gotta add something to his offensive game.
Or they're going to stagger their minutes a ton.
Yeah, it's got to be. He got to get at least a long midi or something.
And by the way, Allen can facilitate too. All that stuff we talked about with Evan, like Jared's capable of doing a lot of those similar things as well. It's not just Evan Mobley. It's just he's the guy I think they'll start in that position before they put Jared.
Jared was getting a sneaky three
and a half a game. Yeah.
So he actually was when Evan and Darius was out and they was running the high pick and roll. Like he made some nice plays when they passed him the ball. So
what was your answer for Jared, Jason?
I didn't have a great one. I was thinking he's a willing passer. Work on that. Sometimes I think the answer is guys are who they are.
Yeah.
And he's so far into his career, he is who he is.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Turn into Brooke Lopez.
Well, I know that we have for the segment, you can conjure something, but I just think he is who he is at this point, and it just makes my head hurt that you can't play your best players at the same time. That's a problem when two of your best players don't fit together on the court, and that's why. I'm just not. I don't know. We talked about it all summer that if you have to break up the front court, the back court, to me, the answer is the front court. I'd break up the front court because I have more faith in the back court figuring it out because they're two really good players and two ball handlers who do dynamic things. Then I'd have faith in these guys figuring it out in the front court. I just,
Next week I'll do some sort of video explaining, with diagrams, what I mean of how defenses would guard Jared if Evan's facilitating from the high post.
Yeah.
And the Warriors, keep in mind, the Warriors ran two non-shooting big lineups with Draymond and Kevon Looney with Atkinson there. So if any coach has seen the best way to make it work, it's Kenny, who was just on the bench with Steve Kerr. Mm-hmm. The difference is in those lineups with the two non-shooting bigs in Golden State, they had arguably the two best three-point shooters in the history of the NBA on the court at the same time. And as good of a shooter Donovan is, as good of a shooter as Darius can be, as good of a shooter as, frankly, Max Strus can be, they're not Steph and Clay. And let's end it with Strus before we bring on Spencer Davies here. What's one thing Max Strus has to add to his game, Davies?
He got to find himself in Miami. He got this role that he gets with Kenny Atkinson. It's really not on him. It's really on Kenny Atkinson to really put him in position where he can just run off screens, catch and shoot. Him at the three thing is just not him, and they got to find a way to get him back to Miami. So if I had to pick a word, it would be consistently hitting your shots, because I think when we needed him at times in the playoffs, he couldn't hit a three. So just to consistently be a good shooter.
Grow 5 inches.
So you talking like me.
He needs to grow 5 inches.
That's not going to happen.
Get on some table and stretch. just stretch his feet and stretch his arms.
I had a little more of a basketball answer, which was be better at attacking closeouts. Because in this new offense, if you're going to be catching and shooting a ton, and teams know you can attack closeouts, and I actually don't know if he's good or bad at it. I didn't see a ton of closeout attacks in Miami or last year. Maybe Spencer could tell us he remembers more than I do. If they're going to be flying at you coming off these double pin downs, then you have to be ready to attack and close out. And if he doesn't have that in his game, it may be tough. Before we bring on Spencer, any other players you want to touch on real quick? Anyone? Or are you guys good?
LeVert, be consistent.
That was my answer for LeVert, too.
I mean, that's been his answer his entire career.
It's time.
Some guys are who they are.
It's time.
They are
and
I
had Dean Wade sleeping bubble wrap. That was my Dean Wade. So, all right, let's get our last reader here. We'll bring in Spencer, the last remaining Cavs beat reporter in Vegas.
Yeah, guys, so when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role, people like Earl and I. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open for the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get qualified candidates within 24 hours. You got to hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. To post your job, you just go to linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post it for free. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job. Terms and conditions do apply.
And with that, let's bring in Spencer Davies here. Summer League is a grind, Spencer, and you are the last Cavaliers beat reporter still in Vegas. So first off, kudos for you for surviving what is seemingly the longest 2 weeks of the summer. But you were at the game last night. The Cavs fell to the Warriors B squad 96-85. I'll be honest, I did not stay up to watch the game. I watched some highlights this morning. But Spencer, what was your big takeaway from last night's loss to the Golden State Warriors?
Well, the first unit really didn't do much. It was a lot of the twos that came in and picked up the pace a little bit. You're obviously seeing Craig Porter Jr. focus on shooting threes a lot more, whether that's off the ball, catch shoots. A lot of the teams that are guarding him right now are going underneath the screens. So he's taking those and doing a good job of at least letting them fly, something that we didn't really see much of, at last season. But Amani Bates, another thing too with him was second half really started to find his rhythm after first half. He said, these guys were playing him real physical. Daquan Plowden was really up into his shirt and doing a lot different things that he hasn't seen yet. And if you see the videos that Jordan Ott was talking about, he was kind of mentioning that Amani hasn't seen those types of defenses before, and he hasn't seen that kind of ball pressure. So Amani's got to kind of get into gear in that sense and learn how to deal with that type of ball pressure and when guys are pushing him off of his spot. Because when Amani is making a decision, then he's in a good spot, right? Couple dribbles, maybe a floater off the top of the glass, trail threes, all of that. But when he plays with his food, so to speak, or if he's dribbling around, that's when he gets into the most trouble. So I think those two were the points that stuck out to me from yesterday. But collectively, just kind of like game one, did not come out prepared as far as the top lineup goes. And the second unit picked it up.
Spencer, when you watch these summer league games, do you see any of these guys carving out a role? Like when you watch them play, you're like, all right, I can see this guy coming in during the regular season and, having a role for the Cavs this season.
I think it's more or less in the G League context, to be honest, Davies. Like, it's really hard for these guys. All of these players come into Summer League and they're doing an audition. It's not necessarily for the team that they're with. It's for the entire world, right? It's a giant basketball convention. You've got guys coming over from, France and from Israel and all over the world. And some of these guys are going to end up in the EuroLeague. Like this is what Summer League is. But they're auditioning for their next team. They're auditioning for their next contract. In the case of the Cavs, I think we all know that the guard position is that guard room is way too big right now. So it's hard for some of these guys to crack it. But I do like what I've seen out of Dexter Dennis. I think he's come in and given them Naquan Tomlin has done some nice things. Maybe he's auditioning for a role with the Charge or perhaps like Exhibit 10 or something like that. It's just kind of hard to crack the rotation when the roster is as deep as it is. But again, all these guys are auditioning for a spot in the NBA, in the G League, or overseas.
Spencer, what's your first impressions of Jalen Tyson?
Of who?
Jalen Tyson.
Oh, Jalen Tyson. Oh, great question. Jalen Tyson, to me, I see why the Josh Hart kind of ilk is kind of attached to his name, because he feels like a connector. That's the best way I can describe him. He does a little bit of everything. They had him bringing the ball up a lot. As I said, Craig Porter Jr., they're having him work on a little off ball to see what he could look like, next to a Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland. So Jalen's got the ball handling duty. And, he ended up with 4 assists last night. Probably could have been 6 or 7, but they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Jalen, I think, has a really tenacity to make the right play and to, I would say, he's a hustler, too. He's a hustler. He's diving on the floor. He's playing, better defense than probably a lot of people expected, coming out of Cal. But he can do, like I said, he's a little bit of a Swiss Army in a way. And if they have him bringing the ball up and playmaking that way, I mean, he's about 6'6", 6'7". So that'd be like a big guard they could put next to guys. It's obviously going to be tough for him to crack this rotation, at least from a lot of playing time perspective. But I think that he's got athleticism. The jumper needs some work, just it's a little bit mechanical for me as far as form goes. But what I've seen from him, because he's not been afraid of the moment. And, that's something that you can't really teach, and you can't teach that kind of passion and enthusiasm that he plays with as well.
Well, Spencer, I want to actually talk about his jumper, because coming in, one of the concerns that a lot of fans and a lot of people had was that his jump shot is a little slower. Do you think that it's sped up a little bit since he's been in Summer League? Has he been working on it? And is it something that you think will be a problem, once the season comes around?
I think it is a work in progress, to be honest. Haven't seen him knock down that many. He's been putting it on the floor quite a bit, playing in transition. Haven't seen too many catch shoots from Jalen. So that's, kind of interesting, especially because, the big conversation is the Cavs getting a wing and stuff like that. But I think on the big club, you're looking at guys like Max Strus and, Karis LeVert. You want to see the guys that they brought in really take that mantle more. And Jalen Tyson is going to be more of a, can he crack the rotation? Can he get, 5 to 11 minutes, whatever it may be, depending on the night. So far in Summer League, haven't really seen too much of the jump shot, but he's gotten a couple of balls. I mean, and again, I think that his attitude that he plays with is really going to help him more than a 3-point shot.
Spencer, speaking of the speed of a jump shot, Tyson's on the one hand looks a little slow. Amani Bates seems to be like sped up to the maximum, and that is a positive sign if you are in the Amani Bates can contribute camp. Does it look as quick in person as it does in TV? And I know that people are like, that sounds dumb. It is different seeing a jump shot in person versus TV. I know it may not sound like it is, but is it as quick as it's actually looking from my seat as opposed to in the arena where you're sitting?
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. That thing gets up real quick. I think where he can really help them, and forget it if he misses 3 or 4 of these, but if they're good looks, I like when he takes trail threes, especially when this team's playing with pace. What Kenny Atkinson's going to want to do, up the tempo a bit. Amani pulling up in transition, I think, is really tough to stop. And again, when it's in the half court, just make sure that he takes a couple dribbles and then makes a decision after that. Are you going to pass it? Are you going to take a shot? Are you going to try to put it on the deck? I think he's gotten really, really solid at playmaking in this summer league. Just like Jalen Tyson had a few that didn't, go down as far as the assist column goes. I think that Amani could have had 2 or 3 more yesterday. And I think in game 2, you really saw those chops. And what I liked about Amani was whether he got the rebound or he got the first pass off the rebound, he was looking up the floor. And when you're looking up the floor and you're pushing the pace and trying to get behind the defense, that's really advantageous. And he even told me when he gets other guys going, that gets his own game going. And that's kind of natural in basketball, to be honest. But he's looked really solid from that perspective and playing with pace. Had a tough first half last night, as I just discussed, because guys were pushing him off the spot. He said it almost looked like a box and one, and he hasn't really seen that yet. So I'm be interested to see how he responds tonight against the Lakers if they do play their normal guys, and I think they will just because of how the performance was yesterday against Golden State. But I like what Amani has been doing just as far as working on that part of his game. We all know he can shoot. Jordan Knott said it the best. He's got to do the thing. He's got to make the right play every time down. He's got to make the right read. And, you got to contribute a rebound here or there. Got to get a rebound. You got to play some defense and take an individual assignment. You got to do that. So that's what he's learning. And I think that Jordan was very blunt about, kind of where he needs to go in order to find a role on this team.
In the game against Milwaukee, Luke Travers did everything you could hope for from a Luke Travers performance. The ultimate connector. He scored, he passed, he rebounded, he defended. He was in the right spot almost every single time. And then you go back and you check out the highlights from last night's game. He scored in the first 2 minutes of the game, didn't score again until midway through the fourth quarter. I was almost all in on the Luke Travers bandwagon after that Milwaukee game, and I'm not jumping off it by any means yet, but I did take a step back because, in my opinion, there's no excuse for a player of his caliber to go MIA and be invisible for 2.5 quarters in a summer league game. Is that fair or unfair, Spencer?
That's fair. It's fair. The way he's going to end up on this squad is if he can shoot the 3. And he didn't take nearly enough. He wasn't aggressive enough as far as, attacking closeouts or getting off the dribble. He's got to do more. And you saw it in game 2, what he's capable of. So if he brings that same type of tenacity, being up the floor, catching, dunking, he's got a really nice game as far as his distributing ability is concerned as well. He goes up and gets rebounds, catches people off guard a little bit when he has the athleticism off of his 2 feet. So yeah, he needs to do more, and I think he knows that. And hopefully, you see that against LA. But I like Luke Travers. There's a reason that he's kind of close with Joe Ingles and looks up to Joe Ingles because Joe Ingles took a similar path. It took a while for Joe to come overseas too. So somebody like you said, another connector, and I know it feels like it's a broken record a little bit, but when you have versatility the way that this team does with those wings, then that's really important.
Spencer, I know that it's just summer league, but tonight obviously the Cavs play the Lakers, and we know Bronny is on that other team. Do you think it's going to be extra something there tonight between the two teams? Even Bronny going up against the Cavs or the Cavs going against LeBron's son?
I don't know if there's anything extra. I think that Bronny's just trying to find himself. And, I was there for his game yesterday, and it was nice to see him score the first bucket against Atlanta. Really nice, coming off of the screen, a little mid-ranger. I know he's been searching for it. He was 4 of 19 coming into that game last night, and it's been a really rough go for him. But, he had a couple of threes last night, scored 12 points. I'm sure he's going to be looking to build off of that momentum. But I don't know if there's anything extra. I think he's probably going to say, hey, it's cool. I'm going against, a team that I grew up watching and grew up on the sidelines against. But I don't think that there's any kind of, animosity or anything like that. And it's summer league. You're working on your game and you're, saying hi to people and chumming it up.
How'd you hit him at AC's golf outing, and did you contribute more than I did? And that's not a high bar.
Okay, Jay. So off the tee, a lot better than usual. Not great on the greens, almost pretty much useful only within 120 yards. I did get a 200-yard GIR on a par 5, so I'll take that. But
all right.
it was a really rough go.
I literally gave my team, I think, 3 shots. That was it. That's all I'm good for. So you're a better golfer than I am. Congratulations.
Appreciate that, Jay.
Awesome. Spencer, appreciate you joining us this morning. Enjoy your last night in Vegas, and we'll see you back in Cleveland when you return from Summer League. That's Spencer Davies of the Cavs Insider. Spencer, thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks, guys.
See you, buddy.
Awesome. Back to what we were talking about before with the Cavs. I got two guys I was curious about what you think they had to add to their game.
George Niang needs to just lose weight, because I know that's where you're going.
No, it actually wasn't.
Oh, okay. Where you
Again, these guys are 7-year pro. They are
Where
who
you
they
go?
are.
All right, who you got?
I was curious, and I know G's not here, and I know you hate asking Amani questions.
Jesus
But
Christ.
I wasn't going to ask Amani either. I just like to see Jason get pissed.
I was going to ask Spencer, when's Amani's jersey going on the rafters?
The Thomas Mack Center rafters. No, but Jalen Tyson, if he's going to have to carve out a role on the big league squad for the Cavs this year.
Yeah.
It's only been 3 Summer League games, tiny sample size, but what does he have to add from what you've seen so far
I think
to give him a chance to compete for a legitimate roster, a
I
rotation spot?
really believe that what he already does best would be very vital to the Cavs, and that's shooting threes and that's getting rebounds. I think that those two things, because if a Dean Wade is out, or we don't know who is the backup center now.
Right now,
To be determined.
Exactly.
their 4 bigs right now are Mobley, Allen, Niang, and Wade.
So
That's
my
their
point
front court.
exactly, he's going to contribute on the board side. So you got a guy that can shoot and get boards that's maybe undersized, that has to hustle a little bit, that's going to do those plays. I think that he already has a role. It just comes down to him speeding up that shot, because as you know, in the NBA, it can be open and it can be closed just like that. So he's got to speed that shot up, which he's working on.
Continue to work on his three-point shot would be my answer. He's not the traditional 3-and-D guy. The longer this goes, I'm just the Isaac Okoro piece. I'm not sure he's going to be back here next year. This feels like it's going to be a not long negotiation, but Lauri Markkanen couldn't come to terms with Chicago, and at the end of the summer they dealt him to Cleveland, and he signed a new deal with Cleveland. Colin Sexton, coming off his rookie, didn't get an extension. He was included in the Donovan deal late in the summer. This sort of feels, now we're in the middle of July, this sort of feels like Okoro may wind
That's
up.
the path, yeah.
Yeah, it just feels that way. So there's going to be an opportunity, I think, for Jalen to contribute at some point. I know he's not the 3-and-D guy that Okoro is, particularly the D side of that, but I just think the three-point shooting, if he's going to have a role on this team, it's as a knockdown three-point shooter.
And what about Craig Porter Jr., who's had a interesting summer league? It feels like they told him, hey, Craig, you're going to run the show, but we need you to be more aggressive. If you see a shot, go shoot it. And he has upped his volume significantly in the summer league. The efficiency hasn't been there, but he certainly looks more aggressive from an offensive standpoint. And who knows if that's simply, it's summer league, Craig, you'll get yours, as opposed to this is how we want you to play in a new offense. But what have you liked from Porter Jr.? What have you not liked? And what does he have to add to his game to be considered in contention for that backup point guard spot next year?
Consistency, I think, with him. I think with a lot of young guys, and he's really not that young. He's been around for a while.
He's
But
older than a lot of, he's 25, right?
Yeah. I thought he was actually older than that.
26?
But just the consistency of being able to do it every night. Because I do think that there's going to be an opportunity for him. Obviously, the Rubio thing unraveled on them last year.
He's 24.
Oh, 24? Okay, so he's not as old as I thought he was. But the Rubio thing sort of imploded on them a little bit last year. Obviously, if you have 2 ball handlers, if they do bring back Donovan and Darius both, it mitigates the need for a true backup point guard a little bit. But certainly there's going to be a spot and moments for him. For me, it's just the consistency of doing it every night.
Yeah, I think he already had the role of everybody on the team trusts that he can do it. He just got to continuously do it. And it's going to be nights where they're going to ask him to score. I mean, you think about Ricky Rubio. Didn't Ricky Rubio have a 50-point game or something like that?
In Cleveland?
Yeah. Didn't he have a game where
Karis LeVert had a 50.
No, maybe it was like 40. Ricky Rubio had a game where he went
I'll look at his career high.
absolutely insane.
2 years ago? 3 years ago?
Yeah, this was before the
knee
injury. Yeah.
Ricky
That would be
Rubio
3 years ago.
career
Well, 3
high.
years ago.
Right?
He
3
had a
years
game
ago.
where he did
37 points.
37.
2021.
Yeah,
against the
excuse
Kings.
me. I put a little
Yeah,
too
that's-
much on it. But
well, that's
I say all that to
And
say
10 assists that game, too. Holy crap. He was
That's what I'm saying.
8 and 9
He was
from
he was a
three.
huge piece.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he was good. Really
He
good.
was a huge piece.
So it just, at some nights it's going he might be asked to, not 37 points, but he might be asked to contribute 12 points, something like that. And he's got to be able to do those things. And hopefully with him going through this summer league, he's building that confidence that, hey, if I see this, I'm confident enough to shoot this shot. I don't have to look to give the ball to Donovan or Darius. I'm free to take a shot if I see it. And that's what I think they need out of him.
I can't believe how good Rubio played that night.
Yeah, that's why. Why y'all said it to me. I'm like, y'all don't remember that.
You ready for this full
Darius ran up to him and was like, he the GOAT.
You ready for this full stat line? In 31 minutes, he scored 37 points, 3 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 steals. He was 13 of 19 from the floor.
Jeez.
Those 13 made field goals, a career high. He made 8 threes. He had never made 6 threes in a game before that. Never made 6 threes in a game after that. His career high in 3-point total makes 8, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, a bunch of 4s.
Yeah.
37 points.
His true shooting percentage that night,
that's ridiculous.
his true shooting percentage, 94.9.
It's the fact that he did all that in 31 minutes is ridiculous.
And his
those 10 assists is worth at least 20.
Yeah.
yeah, it's 60-something points.
Yeah,
the thing with Porter Jr., and being 24, he can still improve, but he has made the big leaps and bounds in his game. I think for the most part, he more is and will be the player he relatively is now, with slight improvements and consistency, certainly something he can improve on. The good from Craig Porter Jr. was NBA caliber point guard play last season.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting that consistently is what is needed. And he fits alongside, him and Darius don't really fit, it's just too small of a backcourt.
Right.
Donovan's so good he makes up for a little bit of lack of size, but if you have the two bigs, because Porter Jr. is a scrappy defender. Mm-hmm. I would argue he might be. Nah, I wouldn't argue that. He's not good. But he's
Caught yourself.
But he's
blasphemous.
No. He's a defensive improvement. If you needed one stop, who would you rather have guarding the ball, Darius or Craig Porter Jr.?
Stop it, Craig Porter Jr.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, stop it.
No. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, he's a defensive upgrade over.
How tall is he? 6 feet. That's pushing it, huh? 5'11".
I'm trying to think.
Y'all like that?
He's got big. He's got.
I don't care about what the listed heights are, because they ain't
Y'all
right.
sick.
Yeah, he's about 6. I would say 6 foot-ish.
Yeah.
But he's not a.
5'11", rock back on his heels like the guy.
Yeah, but I will say he has a knack for blocking shots. He always has his hands in the pass lane, and he's a smart defender. So like, you can make up for a lack of size if you do the little things right, and he does on the defensive side of the court. He needs to be a better shooter, because you can't be 6 foot and can't shoot. Like that is an absolute
unless you got a
death
mean
sentence.
float game.
But even still, when's the last 6 foot point guard in today's day and age that can't shoot?
Yeah.
And you're gonna say Rondo, but Rondo was bigger
6'.
and longer.
Wasn't Rondo 6'4"?
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And
Rondo
elite,
did everything else.
And there was a different era of basketball. Like
he was still running 2 bigs back then.
So Porter Jr. should be on this team, and the regular team should get some minutes. I was talking to Earl this morning. He's still on the Ty Jerome bandwagon, hoping he can fill the backup point guard role. And I said, hey, for all I know, Ty Jerome might be 6 feet under. I haven't seen him at a press conference. I haven't seen him on the bench.
Touch the court last season?
That's the weirdest.
Yeah. Do you have any, like...
I never asked. He was so irrelevant. I never even poked around on it. But it was weird. That whole thing was weird.
I saw someone post the... you remember when Aaron Rodgers ran out on Sunday Night Football last year with the flag and got hurt? And that was like Ty Jerome's 2023-2024 season highlights, and it was just Aaron Rodgers running out on the court.
You wrong.
I think he scored 4 points this year.
He did?
I think he had 4 points, yeah.
I don't recall him ever touching
He played
the
against
court.
OKC in the second game. It was their first home game of the year.
He was hurt then, so he was hurt for what,
he
70 games?
Yeah, it's hurt the whole year.
Yeah,
basically.
the whole year. They got nothing.
Is he fine now?
I haven't seen him.
I would hope so.
Tyvis, my point is, dudes that are hurt oftentimes, or at least on the bench or around, Ty Jerome was nowhere to be found.
Oh, he wasn't even on the bench.
No, he wasn't around in anything. He wasn't around shoot around.
Like,
tell me I'm wrong.
I'm talking about like
when
rehab. Usually rehab
I
people
did not
come to the game.
I did not see Ty Jerome once last year. I went to probably 35 games.
He got traded here?
No, he signed.
Signed.
And he won a championship with Atkinson in Golden State. So, like, Kenny should be I shouldn't put it that way. He could be a fan and knows how to utilize him and what he does best, considering they spent an entire year together in Golden State. And if he is healthy He is a 6'4" backup point guard who can handle, shoot, and defend a little bit.
Well,
I just don't know how you could have any confidence in him being a contributor until you actually see him on the court.
Well, training camp starts when?
We got some
Football
time.
next week.
September.
We got plenty of time.
He'll be fine.
Plenty of time.
If Kenny Atkinson and they got a good relationship, he'll be there.
And we got any super chats?
We don't. So if you guys want to spend the next 5 minutes kind of going over the bench and what they might need for the Cavs, feel free. And then in overtime, we're going to hear Jason's story, and we're going to talk about Mike's favorite movie, turning 16 years old.
Great movie. All-time classic.
I thought I told the.
Oh, just tell it now.
Mexico
Yeah,
story.
tell
Yeah,
it
we got
now.
5 minutes.
We got 5 minutes. Tell us now.
I
yeah.
thought I told it on the show already, though.
I don't recall.
I
Yeah, I
don't
wasn't
remember.
here.
I don't remember a snorkel story.
All right, 2016. I think it was 2016.
That was a great year.
I blew off All-Star weekend, and my wife and I went to Cancun for All-Star break. And we wanted to go snorkeling. She wanted to go snorkeling. And so, it was one of those, like, spur of the moment. We didn't sign up in advance or anything. It was just like, you walk down a back alley somewhere, and there's a guy who'll take you snorkeling type thing.
Oh, yeah. Love those.
So I'm like, yeah, let's go snorkeling. And I hadn't eaten breakfast that morning, which is important to me. It's an important part of the story. And this was, I don't think I'd eaten anything, actually.
Let me ask you this. Were you drinking?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But hadn't really eaten anything all day. I don't think I ate breakfast or lunch. And this was afternoon. This is like 2 o'clock in the afternoon probably.
Sheesh.
And we were just sort of touring around. And we're like, yeah, let's go snorkeling. So we jump on this boat. And this young kid, didn't speak a lick of English. And so we're just like communicating the best we can. And there's like probably 8 couples on this boat, 6, 7 couples on this boat. And we pull up to this other boat, and he jumps off our boat onto this boat and just grabs all the snorkeling gear and starts handing it to us. And I looked at Leslie, I'm like, I'm sure this has been cleaned and sanitized, right? Like, or is he stealing this from another? Like, we don't know. He just pulled up this other boat, took all the gear, and threw it on. We're like, all right. And usually when you snorkel, it's a leisurely. You're in shallow water and you're, whatever.
No, not necessarily. When I went snorkeling this past February, we was in the deep.
Okay.
We was in the deep.
Where was that?
Where were we?
The Buckeye Cruise?
Yeah. Where the heck did we? I forget.
Well, that's
now.
what this was.
Was we in Turks?
So this guy goes, all right, like, jump out and I'll meet you like 100 yards down there. Like, it was a long way. And the water's like 40 feet deep.
Yeah.
And we had life jackets on. That was the other
Yeah,
thing.
you better.
So, but my life jacket didn't fit. It was really big.
It
was really big.
You should have had breakfast to fill it out.
So, and the boat's like way down there, and he goes like, swim to the boat. And I was like, all right. So I start swimming, and I am by no means Michael Phelps in the water, but I know how to swim. I could swim.
Okay.
But I got so tired, and just like my body just like shut down. And I'm in the water, and the life jacket is coming up over the top of my head because it doesn't fit, and I'm going down. And my wife was a lifeguard like her whole life. She's a phenomenal swimmer, swam on swim to everything. And I remember thinking like, this is it. I'm going to drown.
This is how I'm going out.
This is how I'm going out. Snorkeling in the Gulf of Mexico. Like, that's it. I'm done.
I have not heard this.
And Alessia's like looking around for me, and she sees me like struggling back, and I couldn't go. Like I was done. And she's like, "What's the matter with you?" I'm like, "Just save yourself. The children can't be parentless. You're gonna have to raise them." Like they're gonna think I'm dying here. And she's like, "Just let me like carry you." I'm like, "Absolutely not. I will bring you down." Plus, there's probably a little bit of pride factor in that.
Yeah, there's a big pride factor in there.
So I'm like, I'm going to die in Mexico. This is it. And I'm like, no, like, just save yourself. Someone has to raise the kids. And then there was another boat over here, a boat full of Mexicans over here. And so I just start swimming for the boat. And there was a kid coming up the ladder, and I like knock the kid out of it. And I climb up the ladder, and I'm sitting on the boat. And they're staring at me, and it's like a family outing. And I'm staring at them, and we're just bobbing up and down in the water. And no one's talking, and they're just looking at me like, who is this strange American white man on our boat? The kid was okay. He got back on the ladder and climbed up. So my wife gets up to the boat, like our boat, and the other couples, there's a couple from like Australia and a couple from England, like, where's your husband? She's like, back there. He said, are we going back to get him? She's like, I don't know.
Did you have them drive you?
So our boat turned back around and came back to get me. And of course, Alessia's taking pictures of this. She thinks it's great. And I'm sitting on this boat, just bobbing up and down in the water. And the boat came back. He's like, "Can you swim to the boat?" I'm like, "Yes, I can swim to the boat."
You the one that.
So I jumped out of the water and I swam back to our boat. And everyone's looking at me like, "What is wrong with you?" It's like, I was drowned. I was
The
drowned
question:
snorkeling
Have
with
you
my
been
life jacket
have
on.
you been in the water since?
Of course. Yes.
Snorkeling?
No.
All right, real quick question before we wrap up. Would you guys swim with sharks?
No.
In a cage, yes.
Cage, I would. Yeah.
No.
Yes.
I don't care. Cage, no cage, no. Absolutely not.
I've been watching shark swimming videos on TikTok, so I was just curious.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I
do
would,
it.
yeah.
I would
Nope.
for sure do it. Although
Sick.
The cage might break. Nope.
the crazy stuff I would do prior to kids, I don't do now.
Fair. I don't have
what
kids, so I
happens
would
when
do
you
it.
Yeah, I don't have
kids.
anybody to rely
Yeah.
on me, so it's fine. I'm gonna go hop and swim with sharks.
We'll see you in overtime. Peace.